got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Hi everyone, my name is Gafamo. I'm a film producer and director.
My name is Kylie Baker.
My name is John Njama.
Hey guys, what's up? Check Edgar here and keep watching.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Keep watching SOUQ News Television.
Never stop.
Watching SOUQ News Television.
Edgar doesn't lie.
Keep watching.
SOUQ News Television. Every single time. Edgar says so.
Known as the father of African literature, Chinua Achebe was born on the 16th of November 1930 in Ogidi, now Anambra State, eastern Nigeria. He was born to Isaiah Okafor Achebe, a teacher and an evangelist, and Janet Anenichi Ilegunam, a vegetable farmer. Achebe has reshaped the global understanding of African identity through the power of storytelling. Raised during the twilight of colonial rule, Achebe's education was steeped in both Igbo tradition and the Western values of post-colonial Christianity. As a student at the University of Ibadan, he became fiercely critical of how Africa was portrayed in Western literature. Achebe believed that Western literature often painted Africa as a dark and primitive continent, but he sought to tell the African people's lens. In 1958, Achebe's groundbreaking novel Things Fall Apart shattered colonial narratives through the tragic story of Okonkwo, an Igbo warrior. Achebe illuminated the complexities of African culture and the devastating effects of European colonization. Things Fall Apart became more than just a novel. It became a symbol of African resistance against the oppressive narratives of colonialism. Achebe was not just a writer. He was a passionate advocate for African self-determination, and his political activism made him a critical voice in the post-colonial era. Even after a life marked by personal and political struggles, including a car accident that left him partially paralyzed, Achebe continued to inspire. He taught at Bard College and later Brown University, where his influence reached new generations of writers and thinkers. He was married to Christiana Chinwe Okoli and they had 4 children. Sadly, he died in March 2013 at the age of 82. Chinua Achebe's legacy endures in his novels, his essays, and in the countless voices of African writers who follow in his footsteps. He gave us a voice, a story, and a vision of Africa that is ours to share.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, this never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
My name is Shino Gbadegeshin. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Tradition is a fundamental aspect of every native community. Observing it does not only remind people of who they are, it helps young people to learn and also aids in preserving ancestral history, moments and efforts that binds them together, enriching the vibrant identity their community now exudes. In India, Dhanteras is one of such tradition and integral culture of the Hindu community, a significant festival that marks the onset of the 5-day Diwali celebrations, Festival of Light. Observed on the 13th lunar day of the Krishna Paksha, which is the dark fortnight in the Hindu month of Kartik. The festival is dedicated to welcoming wealth and prosperity, reflecting in its name. Dhanteras combines Dhan, meaning wealth, and Teras, representing the 13th day. This auspicious occasion is celebrated with great enthusiasm as households are thoroughly cleaned and decorated, symbolizing the removal of negativity and the invitation of fortune. People create intricate rangoli designs and light diyas to honor the goddess Lakshmi, the deity of wealth, and invite her blessings. Dhanteras has roots in the Hindu mythology, highlighting two divine manifestations from the legendary churning ocean, or Samudra Mantha. On this day, the goddess Lakshmi is believed to have emerged from the ocean, and devotees worship her for blessings of prosperity. Another divine figure, Dhanvantari, the physician of the gods and an incarnation of Vishnu, also appeared carrying the Amrita, underscoring the day's connection to health and wealth. Astrologers such as Vats note the festival's dual blessings traditionally associated with wealth. Dhanteras is also linked to health, with prayers to Dhanvantari promoting healing and well-being. The observance of Dhanteras, also known as Lakshmi Puja, includes varied customs across India. In Maharashtra, dried coriander seeds mixed with jaggery are offered to Lakshmi. Many light sky lamps and diyas to honor Yama, the god of death, for protection. Evening rituals involve singing bhajans and offering sweets to Lakshmi, while families purchase new items like gold, silver, and kitchenware to symbolize luck and prosperity for the coming year. Village communities extend blessings to their livelihoods, with farmers honoring cattle through rituals and treats. In South India, particularly Tamil Nadu, Brahmin families observe Dhanteras by preparing marundu, a traditional medicine that balances the body's tridosh, marking an Ayurvedic approach to health and longevity. In Gujarat, family gatherings feature festive meals like Dabat and Malpua, showcasing regional diversity. Each aspect of Dhanteras, from cleaning and renewal to offerings and health rituals, embodies the essence of welcoming auspiciousness. Each aspect of Dhanteras, from cleaning and renewal to offerings and health rituals, embodies the essence of welcoming auspiciousness, health, and prosperity for the year ahead. Grace Komolafe, SOUQ News Television.
Oluwole Soyinka. Born Akiwande Oluwole Babatunde Soyinka on July 13, 1934, in Abeokuta, Ogun State, southwest Nigeria, stands as one of Africa's most celebrated literary figures and a global icon of resistance against oppression. His life and works reflect an unwavering commitment to justice, culture, and the transformative power of arts. Soyinka was born into a Yoruba family in colonial Nigeria, an environment that exposed him to both traditional African culture and Western education. His father, Samuel Ayodele Soyinka, was a school headmaster, while his mother, Grace Eniola Soyinka, was a devoted Anglican. This blend of indigenous and colonial influences deeply shaped Soyinka's world. Soyinka attended Government College Ibadan and later proceeded to the University College Ibadan, where he studied English and literature. Soyinka completed his education at the University of Leeds in England, earning a degree in English and later a doctorate degree. In the late 1950s, Soyinka began working as a dramaturgist at the Royal Court Theatre in London. However, his passion for storytelling and cultural preservation drew him back to Nigeria, where he founded two theatre groups known as the 1960 Masque and the Orisun Theatre Company. Soyinka's works, often a fusion of Western dramatic techniques and African themes, address universal issues of justice, freedom, and human dignity. His early play, titled A Dance of the Forest, which was introduced in 1960, written to celebrate Nigeria's independence, critically examined the nation's socio-political trajectory, setting the tone for his career as both artist and activist. Soyinka's activism became more visible during Nigeria's post-independence years. In 1967, during the Nigerian Civil War, he called for a ceasefire between federal forces and Biafran separatists. This led to his arrest by the military government, and he spent 22 months in prison, where he wrote a short drama titled The Man Died, Prison Notes, a harrowing account of his imprisonment and a profound critique of authoritarianism. Soyinka has authored more than 20 works, including plays, novels, poetry, and essays. In 1986, Soyinka became the first African to win the Nobel Prize of Literature, an achievement that brought global recognition to African literature. Soyinka remained an outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, often at great personal risk. His activism extended beyond Nigeria, addressing global issues of injustice and human rights. During periods of military rule in Nigeria, he went into exile, continuing to write and speak against tyranny. Today, Soyinka is celebrated not only as a literary giant, but also as a symbol of resilience and moral courage.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
The rise and fall of Nigeria Airways is a story steeped in mismanagement and missed opportunities. Established in 1958, Nigeria Airways, the national carrier, initially soared as a symbol of national pride. However, a series of missteps led to its unfortunate demise. In 2008, financial mismanagement became its Achilles heel. The airline became bloated with an oversized workforce, hemorrhaging money on profitable routes while neglecting crucial safety maintenance. These issues stemmed from a lack of transparency and accountability. The government, as the majority owner, failed to implement proper checks and balances, allowing mismanagement to foster. Weak regulatory oversight likely played a part as well, with instances of impounded aircraft due to unpaid debts and safety concerns raised by international bodies. Ultimately, the crippling debt burden proved unsurmountable, forcing Nigeria Airways to cease operations, leaving a void and a valuable lesson for the future. This lack of transparency and accountability isn't unique to state-owned airlines. Several privately owned airlines have also suffered the same fate. Effective corporate governance, including robust financial management and adherence to safety regulations, is essential for any airline to succeed. The broader lesson here is the critical role of corporate governance in the aviation industry. Effective management, robust financial strategies, supportive economic policies, and modern infrastructure are crucial for the growth and success of airlines. Addressing these challenges requires a concerted effort from both the government and the private sector to foster a conducive environment for aviation to thrive. Corporate governance is a multifaceted discipline that encompasses a wide range of processes, customs, policies, laws, and institutions that influence how a corporation is directed, administered, and controlled. The primary goal of corporate governance is to enhance economic efficiency with a strong focus on maximum.
Call him Daniel Ahanji. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, sir.
First and foremost, what you do is different. And I think I know where it's from, but I would like the people to also know where that came from. Tell us what you do.
So my name is Komi Flame, and I do busking. Busking is an act of playing on the street to entertain people and also to make tip from it.
All of this stress I've been under. Rather my cup running over, but I'm okay tonight. Oh, yeah, we gon' be alright, but I'm okay tonight.
Okay, if you say it like that, it's a bit iffy. So, busking, break it down for us. What does the art of busking? Because from what we know about busking, from what I know about busking, it's you see it on movies when people travel on trips. Yeah. You see people on the streets. So it's either their hats open on the floor, they're playing a keyboard, or they're playing drums, or they're actually just singing. You know. So explain your type of busking or busking. Busking?
Yes.
Please explain to us.
So my type of busking is ing. It's spelled B-U-S-K-I-N-G. Okay. So busking is an act of playing on the streets to entertain people, or playing in any public place at all to entertain people and make people listen or watch what you are doing. It might be music, playing an instrument, magic, anything. Just a public showcase of anything you can do. And that's just it.
What makes me in awe of this art, right? It's a different kind of art, it's iffy almost. Why busking? Why did you believe in busking? Because I know from around here, I've been around a while, I've been around music circles, I've been around, entertainment for a while. Yeah. I've never seen anyone do busking.
In this part of the world, right?
In this part of the world. So I really we want to get into your mind space. How long have you done this?
2019.
So let's just go back a bit. So why busking for you? How did it start and why did you choose it?
I started off playing the guitar around 2018 again. So my friend taught me how to play the guitar. He's a very good friend of mine. So he was being taught in church and he'll come back home to teach me how to play the guitar. So that's how I learned how to play the guitar.
So you didn't go officially or anything?
I didn't go for any class or anything.
You played, like my friend would say, you play by hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was learning from his church and he would come back home and teach me with his own guitar. So from there, I was learning the guitar and before then I could sing. Yeah, I sing in churches, fellowships and stuff like that. Yeah. So after that, I saw someone doing busking in Nigeria actually. Yeah, okay. In this part of the world, but he does not do it any longer. Yeah. So I saw someone doing busking at that particular time while I was learning the guitar. So I was like,
where was this and when?
This was around 2019, so I guess the beginning of 2019. Yeah. So I saw him doing the busking and I told myself, not be the same guitar where I play with this. So I saw him doing it and his heart was down in a mall in Sule. Yeah. So I told myself that I'm going to up on my guitar skills and up on my singing skills too, and I'm going to do this same thing at this same place, maybe during December, because I know normally December people are always out in the mall. So I told myself I was going to do the same thing here, and I made it happen.
So that was it.
Like you, Alex, we still talk sometimes.
So why did he tell you why he got off?
No, he still do music, just he does other businesses and stuff like that. And normally busking is not easy, so anyone that might just give up on the craft, give up on busking, not on music, you get, maybe to chase other things, you get, it's not a bad idea.
So are you going to give up on busking?
I'm not saying I'm going to give up on busking, but I'm not going to do busking forever.
Obviously, no one does anything forever.
Yeah.
But so how, so you saw Alexi and you said, this is what I wanted to do. So at the time, did you see the prospect of making a living from it?
No, not really. Not really.
So it was the passion from the guitar playing, or was it the passion from that boldness? You seen the guy just go crazy with his art.
That boldness no fully come. You know, come like immediately.
Learn on the job.
Yes, it took a while. Yeah, that boldness done more than he has done. Yeah, because the way I've pushed mine, you get, he's my boss, so I respect him up to date. But the way I've pushed my own busking, yeah.
Obviously, that's why you're here today.
Yeah, that's why.
On
That's
Inside Life. So now, 2019, you saw Alexi. You're like, I can do this. So how has it been from then till now? Because I know that I've seen you do your stuff from malls to street corners.
Yeah.
From the island to the. Have you done any busking outside of Lagos?
No.
So I've seen you go, because I like to say your stage is different, right? Yeah. I've seen you. So what are the places you have done your performed, and what's the experience like?
I've performed at different places. There are some places that I just even performed there only once. And after once, I did not go there
gone back there
for a very long time. But I've tried out different places on the streets. As far as it's in Lagos, yeah, I'll try my best to make sure I get to that place. Yeah, on the island, at malls. Yeah.
So how often have you done? So I'll say the mall in Lekki, the mall in Sule, the mall at Novare, around Shongotedo, the mall in Ikeja, the mall in Maryland.
Yeah.
So what are the experiences like from each of these malls? And where do you frequent and why?
Okay, currently where I frequently play at is Tejo Show Yaba.
I missed that one.
Yeah,
okay,
Tejo Show Yaba.
With the people.
Yes. Yeah. Obalinde currently, and some places on the mainland. Yeah. I do Oshodi too sometimes. Yeah. I do Sulere too. Sometimes I also go to the island. Yeah. Most times if I go to the island. Yeah.
Why did you add most times?
Because there's no, I can't really say it.
Come on, Flame, I know why. Okay. You won't say why, but I'll tell them why.
Yeah.
So how much is the most you have made from basking at any of the malls? Tell us the truth though.
Any of the malls. Let's see. Should I disclose this? I make money.
I know it's private information, but if you would speculate, that's fine. But because I want to be able to see more people, go basking.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel that information it's privileged information, as well as information that people, need to know.
Yeah.
You might not be specific with the numbers,
yeah,
but we want people to.
So, busking on the streets, yeah, I can't say for you though. It's depending on your craft, but I could say you could roughly make from 10K to any amount, maybe 500, 200, 300.
I like that margin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone else. It's someone else. Yeah. But what I know is I've sent my letter to them 3 times. 3 times.
So this is the same thing you've done.
I got 3 no's.
They've been responding to you and they said no.
No.
Is there a reason why?
They said it's not done in the mall, that they can't do such a thing.
Did you tell them about other malls where you perform at?
Of course. They said if I could do it there, does not mean I could do it here.
I see. Okay, I thought you didn't get any response. I was going to tell them that they should do something about that.
Yeah.
So, street corners.
Yes, sir.
Streets. You mentioned Oshodi. Where else have you?
Street corners, Oshodi, Obalinde.
Do you choose, like popular bus stops with human traffic, or do you just, as you're led, you just stop somewhere and you start to play?
No. I don't. It's not as I'm led. I'm strategic about it. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, if you get to a place, just like Lagos is Lagos, right? Do you need to inform certain people that you are going to be performing? For instance, if you come to my neighborhood,
Yeah.
there are certain people you gotta see,
Yeah.
you know, and say, Baba, we have come, what to do?
No, if I notice that some guys around here, like the area boys and stuff like that, I don't really even speak to the area boys. I go to their boss. Yeah, and
Obviously.
I speak to them.
Obviously.
And I speak to him. As soon as almost time go, I don't speak. I just start doing my thing. I know they will come around. So when they come around, I'll say, who I want to know your boss. So as soon as I speak to your boss,
It's an okay thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. You start doing your thing. So you said 2019.
Yes, sir.
So prior to 2019, you never held a guitar.
No, I said I was learning the guitar around that year time. Yeah. I've been learning the guitar with my friend. Yeah, and there was a particular when I even started learning, I did not have my own. So I was learning with his. So from time to time I got a smaller guitar.
Was it every day?
Yeah.
Was it every day you were learning?
No, not every day.
But
I just wanted it. I loved it. Yeah, I wanted to learn the guitar, and I just like the instruments. So even sometimes when I was not opportune with the guitar, my mind was still there. Yeah, my mind was still there. And
don't mind me that I cut you short. I wanted to, because I'm a novice myself. I have a guitar at home. So it's like a decorative piece. Right? So as you began to play, I thought about what you had said about 2019, and I'm like, prior to that you hadn't played, and you played by ear and someone teaching you. So it's giving me goosebumps and ginger to go home and do something about mine before it starts to collect cobwebs. And so please show us what Combo Flames does.
Papi no fair to me. Say I never call you through it. But I hope that you are well. I hope you're my better. Every day I dey pray for you. Make me Papa God bless you. See I don't forget you. Say I go forget you. See my shoulder. Make you rest up on me. No, I got you. Now me be your friend in the man don't shoulder. I don't keep some for you. No go so far. Cause anything I did not for me and you. Yeah. How are you, my friend? How do you do, my friend? I know sometimes it be like say nobody send you down for another. I did for you, my friend.
I wish I had a studio audience. I love it. And I have to play this instrument. I'm sorry. Because something stood out for me. You talked about you wanting to do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing beats passion. Nothing beats passion. I hope I am passionate enough to drive this and want to do it.
So I would like to say something. Like it's not about the money, for real. It's not about the money, because I've seen.
You just took the words from my mouth. I was going to go there again.
I've seen my growth over the years. The first day, the day I got my first guitar, which was the smaller one, yeah. While I was going home, yeah, someone in the bus paid for my transport because he just saw me. I got a new guitar and he was talking to me. I was like, "You just got a new guitar?" I said, "Yes." Yeah. Then he paid for my transport and he told me, "Yeah, hopefully one day I'm going to pay to see you at a bigger show." And at that particular point, I did not know what he was talking about. Yeah, I was like,
I just want to learn.
Because he wants to see it. I just want to learn this thing. You want to see me at a bigger show. But up to now, I don't know who that person is. If I see him by the roadside, I won't be able to recall. Yeah, but he said something and everything. Now it's beginning to make sense to me that it's moving from a hobby to a career this time. Yeah, and that's just it.
That's amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, from when you started to play to now, how long have you played in the streets and the mall? Like, how long has that been?
most times when I get jobs, due to the fact that we don't have any rates.
Now, do you get called?
Yeah.
To events and stuff?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
To bars, restaurants too. So most times when I get jobs like that, maybe I'm playing in a particular mall this time, I'm playing in a particular restaurant this time, yeah. And in as much as the place might be paying me, due to the fact that we don't have any written agreement, I just know that I'm not going to be here for too long. I've never even played at a place for a year stretch or a 6 month stretch.
You're a traveling man.
Yeah, so I move as soon as this one just next one you get. So most time the only deal I've gotten that stayed very long was the Landmark deal. Yeah, and I still play a Landmark
at the beach.
Yes, I still play a Landmark.
So can someone do busking as a full-time job?
Of course.
Speak on it for a little bit.
So a person can decide to brand himself as a busker, not even as a recording artist, but as a full-time busker. In the sense whereby you have different locations that you play in. It's just about planning different locations that you play in every day. But you just have to understand the craft you get. You don't have to do the same thing. You have to add ginger. You have to add different things to what you're doing. You have to make it interesting so that if I see you today and I'm seeing you maybe next 2 weeks, you get, there should be I should be willing to see you again, you get. So it takes a lot of work, you get, so that it does not get
you have to
boring.
Keep upping your game.
Yes, it does not get boring over.
It's actually it's similar to listening to an artist sing, and also going to their page to listen to their music. So when you aspire to see them on stage, you don't want to hear what you're hearing on the streaming platforms. You want to see him do the song differently, which is why I understand what you're saying there. Okay, so it can be a full-time career.
Yeah, of course.
That's strange. The only place I've seen this is overseas.
I watched a video on YouTube, because most times I get my ideas of the busking craft. Most people that do videos that inspire me are
any kind of video.
People
that sing.
That does busking abroad.
Okay.
They are the white people.
Okay.
So I saw a guy that made a video that he quit his banking job to come do busking on the street.
That's why I felt it was strange when I
so
saw
for him to do that means it could be a job. It's also his own job too. Doing it at different locations and different times.
Many times, I know people that I know creatives are crazy people.
Yeah.
Passionate people are crazy people, right? So many times when he says, okay, I'm leaving a bank job to go busk, right? He's not looking at the money. He's looking at the satisfaction, the fulfillment. Now, tell me about what that is for you.
Okay, me, while playing on the street, most times while I'm playing too, while I'm performing, I must enjoy what I'm doing. So if my setup is not giving me what I want, I just have to make sure that I'm getting that sound that I want from my guitar or from my mic or something. So my setup and what I'm doing I must actually enjoy it. So if I'm enjoying it, what I'm doing at that particular moment, I don't even care what anybody is putting in my basket. I'm alright.
But there is a basket.
Yeah.
Well, you see, what I pick from that is when you're enjoying it, it radiates. People can tap in.
Yes.
I've seen someone I was sharing earlier. I've seen someone that was, busking, and his heart was just there, eyes closed. He was just playing away, And this lady came. She looked at him. She got out her phone. She recorded for a while, and next thing, she obviously didn't have cash to give.
Yeah.
Next thing, she walks up. She walks up to him behind him and just gives him a hug. Gives him a tight hug and just walks away. And for someone like that, that's all the fulfillment for that day he's good.
Exactly.
He
might as well just help that woman. Maybe it's a motivational song he was singing or a prayer
both
song.
ways.
True. He has just done something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Call me Flames.
Yes.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks.
Hope to have you again.
Thanks.
Right? Keep doing what you're doing, because one of the things that we commend people on the show about, and I do personally as well, is when I see people that are bent on their passion, people that are driven, people that don't need motivation. Of course, we all need motivation. Many times it doesn't come from outside, it comes from within.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just wake up and you just don't want to do that thing. You don't want to do anything. But that little voice comes and tells you, look, dude, this is you.
Yeah.
And people are waiting to see you manifest, you know. So I must commend you. We love your music. Yes, by the way, you have your own music.
Yeah, I write my songs. Yeah, I'm working on them, but currently.
But you just write because busking will not give you time.
No, busking. Of course, I don't do busking.
What have you recorded?
Yeah, I do.
You have recorded.
I do, but it's not out currently.
Do you want to play us something you did?
Of course.
Let's hear something you did.
Okay, this song is titled Miracle. You never tell me start to the fight. I no go lie, miracle fine. She fair, she slim, she no too tall. For real, she's what the high. 8 a.m. she go chat me good morning. And I don't dey feel something for her. She don't dey feel something for me. No. So many girls on my phone, but are you the boss man? Been through so much pain, please don't add to my soul. Yeah. Oh, baby, you're the one for me. Baby, you're my miracle. You're my miracle. I feel to swim on the ocean for you. I feel to climb on the mountain for you. I feel to catch a grenade bell for you. I feel to pile up what you did for you. Oh baby, you're the one for me. Oh baby, you're my miracle.
Daniel Ahanji.
Yes, sir.
Popularly known as
Komi
Flames. Thank you so much for being on Inside Life. Thank you for sharing your inside life with us. Hope to see you again same time again.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, well, still Inside Life. You heard from Komi Flames. Check him out on social media. He's Komi Flames across board. Check out his music. He's gone, like I said earlier, his stage is a different kind, you know, from street corners to malls, and he sings and he touches people's hearts. And if you feel touched, you support him. But the important thing is the fulfillment that is gotten from the arts called basking. Same time next week. See you. It's Inside Live. My name is Hanson Ba. Bye for now.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudiecenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudiecenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Hello, this is the Front Burners on SOUQ News TV. I'm Blessing AJ. This is the platform where we x-ray critical issues, brainstorm on strategic solutions in the way to provide that solution that would change the narrative on different issues. It could be on a national subject. It could be something that happens across the globe. But of course, it concerns you and I in a way. I have two gentlemen here who are my fellow anchors. One of them is David Chidu and the other is Perry Joseph. But they will tell you who they are. Hello.
Hi, Blessing. Hi, Priye. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, everyone watching. Welcome once again to Front Burners. Of course, as Blessing has said, and it's a no-brainer, all the issues are on the front burner, and we definitely are going to be talking about them, giving our 2 cents, or in this case, our 2 kobo, with regards to those issues. And of course, you can weigh in, and there will be a time for that to happen as well. Once again, welcome.
Hello, Blessing. Hello, David. I am Priye Joseph. It's the second day of the week.
Yes.
Yesterday was quite a grueling day.
And today happens to be the 15th day in the month of January. It's just very funny how you recall the way we all shouted Happy New Year and we got into 2025, but we're chasing or almost at the middle of the month, and before you know it, we'll be done with January. But we're looking at how January has been so far for us individually, for Nigeria as a country, and for you as a business owner. You could share with us, and even as a person, are there things you've decided to do, New Year resolutions and all this, and we'll look at some developments around the country as well as outside the shows of this country. But there's something you do not want to miss. Please stay for it.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation.
Here is something you do not want to miss. I am Evelyn Ohiola. The federal government is set to inaugurate 3 cancer facilities by May 2025. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Partey, has announced 3 major cancer treatment facilities to be inaugurated in May 2025. Partey noted that the facilities, part of 6 approved by President Bola Tinubu last year, will feature advanced equipment such as linear accelerators and brachytherapy devices for high-quality cancer care. Now, there is something about this story. It's a good one due to the records of death we have had concerning, cancer. But then we just hope this would not just be another announcement, actually. Last year, the federal government announced a free cesarean session for all women, and that is yet to kick off. So we hope this is not going to be another policy in the pipeline that is going to take months and maybe years to come. Let's move over to another story. This one is outside of Nigeria, and it's from our brothers, how they call it? Brothers. That is Ghana. John Mahama reduces 7 ministries to boost governance. Ghana's President John Mahama has dissolved 7 ministries, cutting a total from 30 to 23 in a move aimed at enhancing governance efficiency. The restructuring aligns with conditions tied to the country's $3 billion International Monetary Fund (IMF) bailout secured in 2022 to address fiscal challenges in Ghana. Ghana is cutting costs. We have been talking about cutting costs in Nigeria, but then 45 ministries and, people have been talking. But you do not want to compare the population of Ghana to Nigeria. Ghana is just what? A combination of Lagos and Kano's population, 34 million naira, and Nigeria, 230 million Nigerians. So, I mean, whatever it is you think, there are for and against on this particular talk. Doha talks near breakthrough in Gaza ceasefire negotiations. Negotiators will meet in Doha today in an effort to finalize a ceasefire agreement and hostage release deal aimed at ending the ongoing war in Gaza. Mediators, including the U.S. and Qatari officials, have presented Israel and Hamas with a draft proposal following a significant midnight breakthrough. And for my last story on something you do not want to miss, I'm sure you want to hear this. Naira stays strong. Sorry, let's cut that. Not Naira. Dollar stays strong as rates and tariff grow. The United States dollar stays in a high level in 2 years today. Strong U.S. economic data has made traders expect fewer interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve this year. U.S. Treasury bond yields also rose, reaching 4.799% before dropping slightly. It would have been a wonderful news if we have something, a report saying that the Naira stayed strong for 2 whole years. But the Naira has continued to fall like the bosom of an 80-year-old woman. That will be all on something you do not want to miss. I am Evelyn Ohiola, and of course we'll go for this break. When we return, you'll be seeing the faces of Blessing, Priye, and David.
Beats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
Elon Musk is a visionary entrepreneur leading innovative ventures in technology, space exploration, electric vehicles, and renewable energy. Musk was born on June 28, 1971 to a South African engineer and his mother, a Canadian model and nutritionist in Pretoria, South Africa. His talents for computers and entrepreneurship emerged early, and at age 12, he created and sold a video game. Musk studied physics and economics at Queen's University and the University of Pennsylvania. In 1995, Musk founded Zip2, sold to Compaq for $307 million. He also co-founded X.com, which became PayPal, acquired by eBay for $1.5 million in 2002. Driven by a vision for humanity's multiplanetary future, Musk founded SpaceX in 2002, developing affordable rockets to support International Space Station mission and NASA's Artemis program. He became a major investor in Tesla 2004, launching electric vehicles like Roadster, Model X, and Model 3. Tesla unveiled the Cybertruck, beginning deliveries in 2023. Musk acquired X, formerly known as Twitter, in 2022, aiming to enhance future and transparency. Musk has at least 12 children from multiple relationships, including Justin Wilson, Tallulah Riley, Grimes, and Siobhan Zilis. Through SpaceX, Tesla, and other ventures, Musk shapes technology and innovation globally, and his influence extends beyond business into politics and culture.
After ensuring that you do not miss what's happening across the globe, we're tracking other stories this morning, and there are some emerging developments. One of them is for Lagos State House of Assembly. The Speaker of the House, or the previous speaker, was impeached, so there's a new speaker for that house, who is Mojisola Miranda. She's merged the new Lagos State House of Assembly speaker, and she happens also to be the first female speaker of the House. I should clap on behalf of my constituency, gentlemen. What do you think of that?
Yes, indeed, she needs to be applauded because it's a historic watershed moment as far as Lagos State is concerned, and as far as, you know, the country, as it were, is concerned. Who knows, maybe tomorrow we're going to see the first Nigerian female governor in a state. Nigerian female president, I beg your pardon, you know, because we had, what's her name, Betty, I can't remember her name now, joined the Peter Virgil back in the day, you know, when Peter was removed. But by the way, I particularly see this incident as significant. It would have very, very far-reaching implications as far as the Lagos State government is concerned, because former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa has been accused of a number of things. But my question, first of all, is no committee, as he were, or no focus group, so to speak, was called together to, spearhead and present reports from investigations conducted before all of these happened. I mean, his many sins, of course, we can outline them as allegedly misappropriations, fund misappropriation, and then some of his colleagues accused him of high-handedness, and then, inciting party members against each other. And in an assembly where you have, whereas majority of them are, belong to a particular party, it becomes relatively easy for things like this to happen. And let's not make any mistakes. This sort of monumental happening cannot go on without the say-so of the president, who's been a leader of that party for the longest time possible. The president and the governor, but of course the president being, the top gun himself, the leader of that party for a long time. And I'm gonna say something at this point in time. For the longest time, talking about the APC right now, they've had an organization that is exemplary, right? This is not to hold sway for the party, but it's important to call something out when you see it as black and or white. From AD to AC to ACN to the APC that we know right now, they've been organized as far as Lagos State is concerned. I'm not talking about every other part of the country, right? Because they've had upheavals here and there, but in Lagos, it's significant. Now, but for Mudashiru, he's done what it is that he was accused of doing. And in some regard, you could say that it was a personal, if you like, vendetta, because in some of his dealings, he seemed to have slighted the governor of the state, which you can say has
I get what you're saying, David, that there could be some political undertones to the impeachment. Yes, I quite agree that before a speaker is impeached, there should have been like an investigative committee to look into the allegations leveled against him before that impeachment. But of course, when sometimes the major issue has to do with party, like the party they belong to. So it's more political than it has to do with enacting laws, sponsoring bills for the state. However, I do hope that the new leadership that they have, the new speaker that they've commonly elected now, this would foster unity within the House and would translate to better legislation for Lagos states. Well, that's my hope.
All right, but first of all, it's your constituency, so I can understand. I can understand why you have to just move into, okay, now it's the time for us to foster unity, bring cohesion in the party.
Because that's part of the reason that the former speaker was impeached.
Well, I'm going to first of all agree with what David said about Mudashiru Obasa has been accused about a number of things, his handlings of the state affairs, but this is politics. However, on one occasion, I want to disagree with him that it couldn't have happened if the president, who was the leader of the party, is not aware of it. Mr. President is dealing with big issues. He's not dealing with Lagos at the moment.
I don't think that he would be so concerned about the state legislature.
Nigeria.
You forget that he's the party.
Just a moment.
I think it has to be the governor.
He's concerned about Nigeria at the moment. He's so much concerned about how his traducers, the political opponents, most especially coming from Peter Obi and from the PDP extraction, on how he's dealing with state issues, how his economic policies are not falling in line, how Nigerians are paying dearly for it, how criticism of his government is mounting every day. So being concerned about Lagos for now, it's just this thing about Obasa's fallout. We've seen, I saw it last year, is temerity, Well, I won't call it temerity because I expect some form of give and take. Even if we belong to the same political party, we shouldn't agree all the time. And we see that in the United States politics, and we can buy in from that. Bukola Saraki, when he was the president of the Senate, even though he belonged to the APC, they said he was APC on paper while he was PDP at heart. He criticized the Buhari administration vehemently, and he was seen or tagged to be carrying out anti-party activities. Why? Because they expect them to just toe the line. Obasa did same, even though he was accused. So now he's been, taken out of place. There was no committee to that extent. In fact, it wasn't even in the country. It was in the United States of America. So you could understand that this is just mere politics, not the accusation of fraud or of abuse of power, high-handedness. All those are political terms to use
to just cover. Is that to say that those allegations, in your opinion, do not count or do not have substance?
Okay, whoever the accuser is, in this case the APC, should tell us where the high-handedness has started. He's been in the House for 3 administrations, 12 years. I believe the highest serving speaker in Lagos State, yes, right? Yes, so when did this, all this thievery, when did it start? Was it was it when he came into power in the first place? Was it in the second administration? Or was it in the third administration? His accusation of the Sanwo-Olu government mounted last year and the previous year. So we knew where all this was going.
It wasn't just last year.
He's actually seeking attention to become the governor of the state. So he's fighting. Exactly. He's actually a loggerhead, not just only with Sanwo-Olu, and also with those who actually wanted to succeed Sanwo-Olu after
what has happened in Lagos State is not particular to Lagos State. If we follow through how impeachments have been done in Nigeria, you find that in a State House of Assembly, or some of the members become disgruntled with the speaker, and somehow, for some reasons, the speaker leaves. So basically, that's what I was talking about, fostering unity. When that unity is no longer there, reasons would arise, whether they are genuine reasons or not. But like I said earlier, the focus now is there is a new speaker. So I do hope that now that there's a new speaker, it will make the House better, because why do we have the House in the first place?
She's the beneficiary. She is the beneficiary.
For implications of governance.
Whether or not she's the beneficiary, why do we have a legislature in the state? It is for them to provide laws, sponsor bills that will help governance in the state. So if they're not doing that, it doesn't necessarily matter who's there.
Okay, I hear you both.
Can we move to the next story?
I totally agree. But as a summary, for implications of governance, we're going to miss someone with his experience. As Priya said, rightly so. He's been the longest.
But you wouldn't want him to become a monarch there. So at some point, somebody needs to gather experience.
Exactly. And I'm totally excited. In fact, I'm over the moon. The fact that a woman is there.
Yes.
This character of Miranda is there. She's been known to serve in a very, very in both an altruistic and a very competent capacity. So
you will see.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. I think my constituency is proud of you, but that is not to say we do not understand that. Yes, experience may matter, but I think this is something that can be learned after Obasa did not just become who he is in one day. So let's see where the leadership of Mojisola Miranda takes the Lagos State House of Assembly. And with that, we'll move on to the next story, which is about the price of petrol in Nigeria. So depots have raised price of petrol to 950 naira per litre. Recall that we had this conversation yesterday, not the increase of petrol price from depots, but how there was a reduction 3 weeks ago by the Dangote refinery, and yes, from the summation of all that was said on this table yesterday, it did not really reflect in the price of goods and commodities across Nigeria. But now there's been an increase in the price of petrol attributed to the increase in the price of Brent crude in the global market. So I start here by saying, we talked about this yesterday. David, you weren't here yesterday. We had Dr. Dausa Osamanzaya, and he was of the opinion that when there is an increase in the price of goods and services, the reason it takes a long time, or maybe a longer time, for the effect to be felt is because those who have stocked on that particular product are considering restocking. And so what it would take them, so it takes quite some time for that effect. But when there's an increase, it's a jump that easily happens because, yes, they must make up what they would need to repurchase. Yesterday, we read on the news that the price of crude oil, Brent crude particularly, had increased to about 80 or 81.
79.
About $80, about that.
$81. Yeah.
Yes, around that, more than $79, but around that threshold, it had increased to that. And this morning, we're seeing a jump in the price of petrol from the depot. Now, my stand on this is, I understand that, yes, those who have bought or those who do business are considering what it would take them, like the depot owners, the petrol station owners, maybe considering what it would cost them to restock. But why does it take a very, very long time for us to see that change when there is a reduction? It just seems like people are very happy, or some business people are very happy when there's an increase. It means, oh, more money, so let's quickly cash in on this opportunity, than reverting to a less price because they become used to the new normal.
It's been our stock and trade for a long time, and I fear that may not, we may not see the end of that anytime soon, because just like you have said, it's something that happens almost every other time that there is a shift in price of crude, and of course you see marketers, I see, where quickly running into attack head first at the detriment of Nigerians who use these products. But I'm going to toe the line of calling out the people who naturally are supposed to be responsible for what happens, in and around the downstream sector. We're talking about the likes of the NMDPRA, and we're talking about the NNPCL at this point in time. Reckon toward the close of last year, I think the third quarter and the last quarter, there was a lot of a lot of melee going on, fisticuffs if you like, not literally, but that was what essentially made up the stories coming out of those two entities, as it were. But we saw a little bit of respite toward the end of the year, where the announcement of the Port Harcourt refinery and then the Warri refinery happened, and then of course for what seemed like forever, we didn't have clogged up fuel stations, and Nigerians were buying petrol, free, and all of that. All of that put together, you want to consider where we are right now, and the last thing you want is any shift in price that would constitute, a strain on the pockets of Nigerians. That's not exactly what anybody wants to see at this point in time. But then the question now remains. That still remains unanswered as yet, which you have asked and which we'll probably still be asking till tomorrow, is why it's still the same way. And I don't think we're going to ever find, an answer to that question, really.
Okay. The controversy for me is that this is the world market. The Brent crude oil went up $81, and of course, everything just spiked. So the controversy, or the irony for me, is the 2025 budget for Nigeria. The medium-term expenditure framework, the document that served as the guideline for preparing the 2025 budget, has it that we're pegging the sale of crude oil at $100, or beyond. I think it's beyond the 81 that what the international market currently is now, or what we currently have now that's in operation. So it means more money for the federal government. Okay, the ambitious budget that the Tinubu administration has put forth for the 2025 budget, we will be having more money because if we begin to sell.
We would also spend more money because we import petrol. We export crude and import
just a moment, Blessing. Now we are going to be having more money, so we are moving closer. However, it's going to result to the increase of petrol, which has already happened in Nigeria. So Nigerians' pockets are going to be more straining for them to spend. That controversy, that irony is what it is for me. Why is it that it's determining the increase in the Brent crude oil would determine the increase of price here in Nigeria? We are a major producer in the world, and it looks like we don't have any controlling power to adjust to our own terms to make sure that it doesn't have a toll on Nigerians. and everything is determined from the outside. That is what we will need. That's why I believe we will need a creative economist, someone in the position of Mr. Wale Edun should be able to tackle this, including the Minister of Finance
that you raised,
and the Central Bank of Nigeria.
We do not necessarily need a creative economist to handle that part. It's just a thing of you sell how you buy. So since we do not have refineries that are producing enough petroleum products for our consumption, we still do imports. Well, the good thing now is we have a Dangote refinery that refines petroleum products. But we still know that we do importation. So if the refineries abroad are buying crude at an expensive rate, it just makes sense that they will sell at a more expensive rate because they have to cover up and make profit. So you who were sold to them crude, which is the primary product, at an expensive rate, you should expect that when they've refined and are selling back to you, they too want to make some profit.
We're not importing the same quantity like we're going to be importing before when we do not have the Dangote refinery operating.
It's how you buy
now
your
we have the
raw
Dangote
material.
refinery,
Yes,
we have the Warri refinery, we have the reverse refinery, the Kaduna refinery is coming into place at this moment.
But the depot owners will want to peg it at a price that is that takes care of the expenses of those who are importing. Because not all marketers are buying from Dangote. Yes, you have a lot of the independent marketers buying from Dangote, but you still have marketers who are importing. So that has to reflect. The only way
then the consumers have a choice on where
the only way we're going to have a change or maybe have some relief is that for some stations that buy from marketers who get their supply from Dangote, it may be cheaper. It may be cheaper than 950 naira per liter. But what you will see in most places, because the people, there's this part that the people play, which is the part of greed. So even if some buy at a cheap rate, but because many depots or some depots are selling at a particular rate, how do you tell which marketer had bought at a certain rate? They also want to make that profit and sell. It's like when the announcement of, oh, there's a new price. If you go check now some filling stations today, you will find that there's a new rate because of this development. So people naturally want to cash in on the opportunity to get in more. And that is the people's side. I know we've often said in this country that we do not need price control, but I think there's still need for some form of price control. When it was DPR in charge of this for the downstream sector, you find sometimes that they go to stations and they seal up some stations for selling beyond the approved price. But hey, we do not know if the NMDPR would even weigh in at this point because this seems to be like an approved price or an agreement by the depots. So but I think some form of price control needs to happen so people do not take unnecessary advantage of situations like this.
I would like to slightly differ on there, but before I go to my point, what you've just said, talking about price control, I'd like to backtrack just a little bit. Now, earlier, the question was asked as to why this is happening, and just in your submission, you've more or less alluded to what I said earlier, that we're still going to keep asking that question because it is business. People want to make, well, business people want to make profit. Essentially, that is at the, that's the crux, if you like, of, or that's at the center of any business person's, venture, as you were, or intention, as you were. But to talk about, where you just landed, which is price control, I'd like to strongly disagree. I mean, the sector's been deregulated for all intents and purposes, and the federal government has more or less, we could say more or less, I say that tongue in cheek at this point in time, taken its hands off of it. Taken its hands off of it, which is why I said tongue in cheek, because we know that some way, somehow, there's still some, negligible, I'll use the word negligible intervention that we don't see, because what we are being told and what we're seeing is that they've taken their hands off of it. But that's, by the way, that's a conversation for another time. So focusing right now on price control is not something we need, because if it's a free market and you come and tell me that it's been deregulated and you're telling me that I can import and you can import and you can import if you have a license, the last thing you need is to come and wade in again and put a, maybe a body,
a regulatory,
exactly, a regulatory body. Listen, if we, again, I'm going to agree with you on some point, if we have enough refining capacity, right? We shore up foreign exchange, and then the differential between the naira-dollar, interaction, essentially, would be more in our favor. And so you find that gradually prices will start to reduce. I just think that's what we need to do, rather than starting to advocate for price control.
Okay, talking about things happening gradually, we'll come to that, and there's a reason I put that forward. So the federal government is to spend 8 billion naira on orientating Nigerians on payment of electricity bills. I'm going to take that again. This time, I don't understand what that means exactly, orientating Nigerians on payment of electricity bills. So the federal government is to spend 8 billion naira on orientating Nigerians on payment of electricity bills. Help me, gentlemen. Okay. Does this mean that the federal government is going to run some campaigns, maybe through the National Orientation Agency? It's going to try to appeal to the conscience of Nigerians to say, when you consume electricity, please pay your bills. Is that what this is?
Okay. I think, first of all, the federal government needs to orientate its ministries.
No, please answer my question.
I'm coming. I'm just trying to interpret that headline or that story in a certain way. First of all, the federal government will need to give an orientation to its ministries, departments, and agencies on how to pay electricity bills. In fact, the National Immigration Service, somewhere in SOUQ, speaking with some of the resident people who lived there, they told me we don't have light always. Why? Because we have agencies of government operating in this vicinity, and they are notorious for not paying electricity bills. And there are bills with the electricity authority is mounting. So, and we know that year in, year out, we have budgets allocated to these ministries, departments, and agencies. They don't pay electricity bills. As a result, the power authority needs to fight back to make sure that they hold them at the jugular so they can pay up their bills. So they refuse to give them power. In that particular case, I want to tell the consequences of that. Because they refuse to give them power, the residents in those places who pay electricity bills don't enjoy power for the working day from 7 a.m. till about 7 p.m. until those ministries, departments, and agencies, they've closed from work and they've gone back home. That's when they release power to the residents of those places, because they knew the institutions would have closed and gone home. It affects the productivity and the efficiency of the MDAs in those areas, as a toll on businesses in those areas and residents. Now, moving on to the next phase of that, orientation. We are going to use the vehicle of the National Orientation Agency to carry out this orientation, and the cost is what? 8 billion naira. Now, I do not remember the last time that we see the National Orientation Agency, calling Nigerians, maybe their youths, or, having community meetings in different sections of the country, trying to mobilize and gather Nigerians to give them orientation about a national policy or national issue that is of great significance. If they don't do that, it means they've been neglecting the terms of reference that established them in the first place. And if it is in cases like this, where we all know the politics and the economy surrounding electricity in government, then I think it calls to question the motive behind that.
So I agree. That means that when I ask the question, is this to run some campaigns to appeal to the conscience of Nigerians? I was right in that thinking, I just wanted to be sure, because this is really, really very funny. Sometimes I wonder how these decisions are arrived at. From what you said about the some ministries not paying their electricity bills, yes, the government wants to orientate the people on payment of electricity bill. It's like what's the saying again? Remove the speck from your eye before you tell your neighbor to remove the log from theirs. Okay, I'm not the one who wrote it, but there's a saying like that somewhere, I think, in the Holy Book. Right, but back to the conversation. So, do people need to be begged to pay electricity bills? I think the discos are partly responsible for this. If every house and if every organization is metered, you have taken care of one aspect of people consuming electricity and you having to fight them to pay bills. But one of the reasons some Nigerians have issues paying bills is because they're not metered. Secondly, some don't get to have power. And then somebody sits in the office and makes an estimation and say, in this neighborhood, we think that this is a bill appropriate for this neighborhood. This is what each house should pay. You do not know what they consume. You do not know what appliance they're connected to the power supply. You just estimate. So there will be a dispute over the bill you're bringing. So because some persons have been paying bills, some have even been disconnected for years. But it's like tax. You must pay, of course. So they always pay bills. Some persons have resolved that we're not paying, even when the power then comes. So it's something that has happened over the years, and there's been this reaction that as a way to punish the power company for not giving us power as we should enjoy, and sometimes overcharging us, we're not paying. If you have taken care of the issue of metering, if you've taken care of the issue of supplying power that is being paid for, you would have less of issues of people not wanting to pay bills. That is not to say that we do not have people who steal energy. But if you take care of these two parts, then it's easy. Because I know that there are disco officials who go from house to house from time to time unannounced to check for those who have bypassed the meters and getting electricity supply that is not routed through the meter. So if they take care of these two fundamental things, ensure there is supply, ensure that houses are metered, and then you do your monitoring. You would not need to, permit me, say, I wouldn't want to say throw away, but that seems like that's what it would be, money on campaigns to say, pay your bills. Because you can do that campaign year in, year out, nothing changes.
The National Orientation Agency is established for that purpose. And the government is not doing, I wouldn't say it's really doing wrong by using that channel. However, it should be used for the right purpose.
And that's where I agree with you. I was gonna, follow up on Blessing's remarks and yours as well. I have one word for the minister, and I'm going to continue to be very critical of his handling of that particular ministry, which is a very, very important one. Mr. Minister, keep the lights on. That's all Nigerians want to see. If the lights are on, Nigerians are going to pay for it. Again, to piggyback off of what you said a second ago, Blessing, you talked about, the issue of, metering and all of that, and then some people still, I'll use the word loosely, enjoying, electricity without going through the right channel right now, or the recorded channel of, metering. Because what you have is when the estimation doesn't come, they're using power supply, yes or yes. And then when the estimation comes, in some cases, it's outrageous bills that you see. And so who's going to want to pay ₦1 million for something that they didn't use? Who's going to want to pay 100,000 naira for something that they didn't use? Who's going to want to pay 50,000 naira for something that they didn't use? But, if it's metered and it's recorded properly, right, you can use what you consume. And by the by, I'm also going to say that despite the fact that a couple of months ago we saw a spike in electricity tariff, Nigerians are still paying for it, yes or yes. So that is the problem. If you keep it on, anyway, I will speak for myself, and I reckon that I'm speaking for most Nigerians, or a couple of Nigerians as well, when I say that if the lights are on, if we can have it, a good number of hours in a day, say maybe 20 to 22 hours in a day, we are going to pay for it. You do not need, I'm going to repeat this, Mr. Minister, you do not need to shell out billions of naira to orientate people. As you said earlier, Priye, there are more critical issues, more pressing issues that, those monies can be channeled into as far as, you know, the power ministry is concerned. You want to look into those issues and make sure that incessantly we don't have grids collapsing and all of that, and you know, other things that you can channel that money into, perhaps overhead costs or whatever it is, I don't know. But the last thing you want to, because Nigerians already know from time immemorial that they're going to pay for their bills, they're going to pay for water, they're going to pay for this, they're going to pay for that, so long as they use it. So I don't think anybody needs to be quote unquote reorientated in that regard. So I don't think this particular money is being spent. Honestly, I feel like it's mine and it's being thrown into the dumpster.
All right, from there we move on to the tax bills. You know that deliberations on that tax bill was paused for a while because of the concerns raised by different groups. So consultations on contentious areas yielding fruit, says the FIRS chairperson, as the federal government's delegation and lawmakers meet. This is one issue that's been on the front burner, not the front burners, on the front burner for quite a while. Nigerians have reacted differently to the provisions of the proposed tax bills. Some have concerns regarding the progressive increment of the VAT rates. So how it's going to land eventually at 15%. Some also have concerns regarding the mandatory use of tax identification number. There are various concerns about it, and even some regions have concerns regarding the sharing of the VAT proceed itself. So some of these have stalled the progression of that bill, but hey, the FIRS chairperson says the federal government that the contentious areas are yielding fruit. So I do not know if some areas have been able to lay down their opposition, or some way there's been some compromise that perhaps will lead to an amendment of the proposed tax bills. But however, I do think that summing up 4 different bills into one. Yes, I agree, we do need a new tax bill, moving away from the colonial era, moving away from areas that the provisions do not really take care of our present growth, our present realities. But I think it's somehow too ambiguous, because that's why you have a lot of issues coming up from it as part of it. But I do hope that at the end of the day, what is right for Nigeria in terms of the tax system would prevail, which means that we have revenue, not at the expense of citizens. I'm glad that the small businesses have been well taken care of. When I say well, I've been taken care of to a good extent by the provisions of the tax bill. So the threshold for businesses that would have tax exemption was raised to a reasonable extent, and so that's a good one.
Well, good one. It's a bit shaky. I don't just jump into calling it a good one.
Not probably, overall, I'm talking about the aspect that deals with small businesses.
Probably, maybe the federal government, talking about the national orientation. There's this outburst about the new tax reforms and where we're heading with this. I would have expected the federal government to channel that 8 billion naira towards giving Nigerians a proper orientation about the tax reforms, because let me ask you, who are the persons Nigerians are relying on to get these tax, to break down the requirements or what you're expected to do, or why they are disagreeing with the tax reform bills, the sections they want to change? Those from the South or some part of the South will feel, okay, we are going to analyze it to give it our own slant.
There's always going to be a bias.
Yes, so it would have been the remit of the National Orientation Agency to really take up that. However, talking about the small and medium-sized enterprises, we are all saying they will be exempted from paying tax. There are some small or medium-sized enterprise whose income is not more than 2 million, 1.5 million, 3 million. There are some organizations. Yes, there are some whose income is about 20 million naira. And they fall within the net of being exempted from paying tax. Why? I know the government and maybe from other persons, we will say, oh, of course, it gives them the wherewithal to be able to employ more labor. Every businessman is more like a capitalist.
All right.
And they don't want to just,
David,
they want excess profit.
I'm more fixated because, of course, Alim Dumi has spoken about some of the issues that he and CNG particularly have with it. I'm going to disagree on the part where he said there wasn't enough consultation. But I'm also going to very briefly fixate on the 15%, the reduction, if you like, of food inflation from 39% to 15%, as it were. My own primary issue is there isn't any clear direction with regards to how that's going to happen. It's not enough to just say we're going to do this, that, and the other. Look at the gap from 39 to 15. I'm asking just one question. How? And that's where I'm going to end it.
All right, we'll leave it there to see what happens since the FRS chairperson says that the contentious areas are yielding fruits. We wait to see what the fruit looks like. At the end of the day, it's all about Nigerians and it's all about development. And that means we'll be calling it a wrap on the segment of the show, which has been the news analysis. Thank you so much, Pri. You've been steaming hot. I don't know. Maybe I need to know where you get the fire from, but nice. Thank you also, David. Well, we'll go on a break. We'll be joined by Dr. Idausa Osamanze for the policy discuss. Just stay tuned to the front burners.
Hey guys, my name is Anna Maria Orlu. I am Miss Nigeria United Nations. This month is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, guys. Make sure you are getting checked. It is important to get checked and make sure that this is prevented. And make sure that you are raising the awareness to your friends, your sisters, your loved ones as well.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudiecenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudiecenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Muhammad Yunus was born on the 28th of June 1940 in the village of Batwa, Chittagong, a British Indian colony which is currently known as Bangladesh. He attended Lama Bazar Primary and Secondary School in his village and passed the matriculation examination into Chittagong Collegiate School, where he ranked 16th out of 39,000 students. After his graduation in 1961, Yunus joined the Bureau of Economics as a research assistant and was later appointed lecturer of economics at the Chittagong College. During that time, he also set up a profitable packaging factory on the side. In 1965, he received a Fulbright scholarship to study in the United States, where he obtained his PhD in economics from the Vanderbilt University Graduate Program in Economic Development. Between 1969 and 1972, after his keen education excellence of apex heights and proportions in the United States, he returned home and was appointed professor of economics at the University of Chittagong. He was eventually appointed onto the board of directors to the United Nations Foundation, where he served for 33 years. When Bangladesh suffered a famine in 1974, Yunus felt he had to do something for the very poor. In his country, he founded the Grameen Bank. His motivation was to create economic and social development for the very poor, giving long-term loans to those who wanted to start small enterprises to pay back when they can. The aim to help was to get many of them out of poverty. For this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006. Muhammad Yunus is a recipient of numerous international awards for his ideas and endeavors, including the Humanitarian Award in 1993, World Food Prize in 1994, Independence Day Award in 1987, Bangladesh's highest award, the King Hussein Humanitarian Leadership Award in 2000. He was also awarded the Volvo Environment Prize in 2003, Nikkei Asia Prize for Regional Growth in 2004, Franklin D. Roosevelt Freedom Award in 2006, as well as the SOUQ Peace Prize in the same year. All humans are born entrepreneurs, he would always fondly say. His heart showed through his everyday life.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight.
I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, this never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive
It's to the front burners where we dissect and brainstorm on critical issues with a view to proffering solutions. Because if you talk about the challenges, or some would say problems, without proffering solutions, then why talk about it at all? But we have a different approach to things here. And we'll join you to be part of it. You can send in your comments when you go to our social media platform at SOUQ News TV, hashtag the front burners, leave a comment. You can also do that on our YouTube channel. Just leave a comment, hashtag the front burners, and then let us know what you think on the issues discussed today. Yes, Dr. Idaosa Samanze, who is also an anchor on the show, is here. Good morning. It's great to see you always, because you're a man who doesn't leave anything to chance, including your outfits.
Thank you, Blessing. David, a pleasure to be here with you.
So many things have been happening. We've looked at some of the emerging stories, and now we'll be looking at some policy matters. Yes, the national budget is one instrument through which the government of any nation carries out its plans for that country on a yearly basis. So 2024 was rolled by, but some questions have been raised regarding the implementation of the 2024 budget. A top member of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, and former Director General of the Voice of Nigeria, the person of Mr. Osita Okechukwu, has asked the federal government's economic management team to do more to assist in ensuring the President, Bola Tinubu, in achieving his renewed hope agenda. And he also raised questions regarding the implementation of the budget. He says he wrote an open letter. Seems like it's not only the former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who knows how to write letters after all. So he says that the Renewed Hope Agenda program could be successfully executed, could not be successfully executed rather, when only 25% of the 2024 capital budget was released. So he has concerns regarding that. But let's take a look at the 2024 budget and some figures that were earmarked. So the budget was tagged Budget of Renewed Hope, and with a proposed expenditure of 27.5 trillion naira, which at the time was approximately 36.7 billion naira. And key features of that budget included revenue projections were put at 9.18 trillion naira, and the budget's focus areas was on infrastructure development, social investment, and economic growth. Our revenue was estimated at 7.68 trillion naira. So before we look at other things, let's look at the focus areas of the budget, which was infrastructure development, social investment, and economic growth. So looking at the year 2024 and basing the budget's success on the focus areas, infrastructure, social investment, and economic growth, I do know that the current administration has been big on social investment, at least from what the government says. But if we were to look at what Mr. Osita Okechukwu was saying, that only 25% of the budget was used, I don't know what your thoughts are, gentlemen. I'd like to find out from you first. I'll start with,
I think sometimes it's quite really laughable when you see people who should understand how things work, and then they come to the public space to play the sense. You see, he has been in the system. He understands the system. The system has benefited him. The fact that he's not there today really has not changed anything. All these things he's saying, why didn't he implement it while he was there to make things work? You see, this is a big problem with our country, where elites, or elites will call them, who are interested in gaining power, try to always appeal to the emotions or the sentiment of the general public to blackmail those who are in power or those who are in authority to do things. Osita should know that, for example, budget is an estimation, planning document. It's not an actual. That you are proposing that in this year, I'm expecting that revenue is going to come like this. It's not as if you have the revenue in your kitty, and then you're saying, okay, the revenue came and you did not use it. A whole lot of things had really gone very bad about us as a country. You're looking at a country where he was in government, that they were using about 98% of the revenue accruable to the federal government to service debt. So which means only 2% was left for public expenditure, plus borrowing. So if between the time he left and now that we have been able to even move to 24%, I think he should be able to say, oh, you have done well, because you have made some progress. That from 98% of our revenue expended in servicing of debt, to now we are spending 68% of our revenue to servicing of debt. It shows that there's some level of progress that is being made. And I think what you can always do for those who have made this happen is to tumble for them to say they are trying and encourage them to do more rather than pull them down.
I don't necessarily think that it's a pull-down thing on the side of Osita. I think it's like calling out to say, this is what you budgeted to spend for the year 2024, and this is how you wanted developments to come. If we look at that, it didn't seem much like you achieved your aim. I wouldn't want to go with the 25% he says, because I can't confirm that 25% really was what was spent from budget. But I think...
On capital projects.
Okay, I think that basically if we look at what the government focused to do for the year 2024, infrastructure, social investment, and other things. That aspect of
this is what it is. As DMO, for example, management of the budget office, he could say, oh yes, this is the projection, this is what is coming into the federation account. Now, if money comes into the federation account, we have obligations to international partners. Don't forget in a hurry that under the Buhari administration, where he served, the obligations that the federal government had to airlines who were even selling tickets here, we could not meet it. This regime had paid them off.
We're not talking about what the regime.
See, the point I'm making is this: when people start writing open letters to government, what they seem to be doing is beatifying themselves as saints.
Now, Doctor, let me take on.
I was on the line of thought before that. Right. So, if we look at even the aspect of social investment, I am not. I do not agree with the way the federal government had planned the social investment thing. With the way they did conditional cash transfer and some other social investment program, it's not really about how much was put out there, but the effect or the results that came as a result of how much was put out there. So it seemed more like money was put out for certain projects, but we're not seeing the results. People are still lamenting, the impact of the removal of subsidy and all that. Because the social investment program seemed like you were giving handouts to people and not putting it into areas that could produce for them a long-time cushioning. On the side of infrastructure.
No, Blessing. Hold on. See, what you need to understand is government run like an engine. It's like as a driver of a car, brand new car, that has no engine oil, and you are saying, okay, let's drive until we get to Abeokuta before we put engine. What that will do, it will damage the car.
So in this case, what would be the engine oil of the government?
This is what I'm talking to you. See,
what would be the engine oil?
Now, if you want to encourage a kind of a robust economic activity in your environment, every government in the world, whether it's in the US, in the UK, or even the most capitalist countries of the world, must find a way to put money in the hands of the citizen, whoever they are.
In the manner in which they were putting money in the hands of people, do you think that would have produced results?
Now, what it is money is getting to the hands of how that is eventually implemented. There are two different ball games. But what is important is that government has intention to say, okay, we have earmarked XYZ amount to reach out to the poor. What happened? They created a website. People are asked to go register on the website. Their identities are verified. Their documents are put in there. And now government is doing direct transfer to those who participated. So you can't fault that.
I can fault that.
Now, Doctor, let me take you back to where you started out. Okay. You spoke about the personality of Mr. Osita.
Yes.
And how he was, a member of the party who was inside and then, has several pecuniary gains, and then now he's outside and now he's castigating the ones who essentially...
Not necessarily pecuniary gain, because that was not part of my conversation. But he is a key player in the immediate administration.
And now you're saying now that seeing as he's still a member of the party and he's out of active practice, as it were, he's posturing as a saint. I beg to differ in some regard because but first of all, I'm going to ask you a question. Should we continue in sin that grace may abound? And I'm asking that question very deliberately because we've seen government after government, administration after administration do the same thing over and over again. Not too long ago, a couple of months back, former President Obasanjo came out in his usual fashion, man of the letters, casting aspersions on the federal government, the government at the center. And this same remarks came out. You were in the system at some point as an erstwhile president. What did you do? In fact, you contributed to the rot. And I'm saying,
Do we need to continue with these rhetorics? Because from your comments, doctor, you seem to agree. From your comments, doctor, you seem to think that Mr. Osita is simply playing to the gallery, as you said, appealing to the sentiments of Nigeria. Whereas we're not talking about the actual issues which he was addressing.
Now,
that's the problem.
He has not addressed any issue, and that is the point I'm making. Now,
he has pointed out the underperformance of the budget. There's recurrent expenditure. There's capital project. Now, for infrastructure,
what I'm saying is that budget is an annual estimate of a projected earning and spending. Now, you take it at that. It's not actual. So what that means is that if government, for example, earmarked to spend 27 trillion in the year, now, what happens is that if government earning is 16 trillion, what are they going to prioritize? The first thing to prioritize is your overhead. For example, your office keep running.
Recurrent.
Those who are working must be paid.
Recurrent.
Now, you cannot start to build road, for example. You cannot be investing in rail, for example, when those who are working are not earning. So you have to prioritize them. Now, what that means is that as money is coming into the hands of the regime spent it on things that are prioritized. So what that is for us as individuals to say, government don't have enough. I was saying to somebody, I argued elsewhere, last year, 2024, the total size of Nigerian budget was about 27 trillion, which is about 40 billion US dollars. And I said, for example, American military alone in 2024 spent 750 billion US dollars. Now, when you put that side by side, because when you are doing comparison, you have to do comparison based on what you are earning.
I don't think it's a matter of comparison.
No, this is a point. We all have agreed, whether it's Osita, whether are the opposition elements, understand that the Nigerian economy is driven principally by the oil we produce, which is crude oil. Now, when you look at the ratio of barrel per day we produce vis-a-vis our population, and then you compare with Qatar, you compare with UAE, you compare with Saudi Arabia, you will find that what we are doing, take for example in UAE, where 10 million citizens producing 3 million barrels per day. And this is Nigerian, over 200 million people producing 1.2 million barrels per day. Now, this is our revenue.
Doctor, let me take you up on what you said a moment ago.
Hold on this.
All right.
Why we may not have as much as US or the UAE, with the little that you've got, what have you done with it? Which takes me back to the issue of how the social investment program was implemented. You can't be disbursing money and not be concerned about how this money is being used and what result it will give to you. Else, you are merely throwing away money.
That's my line of thought.
You cannot talk about throwing away money. Because you don't have data.
Doctor, one second.
You see, what you're saying is that the guys who are running the social scheme, they have records
of people who receive
it.
So what was that supposed to achieve?
No. What is it achieving? What is achieving is that you have put money in the hand of somebody and is able to buy what is produced in your economy. Now, when you look at the argument between last year, you see China and America were going back and forth. The issue, what was the issue? That you see you are supporting too much your industry against, and then you are trying to create a monopoly globally. What is China doing? China empowering their people to see that whatever that is produced in their environment, they are able to purchase it. So what if I am producing pure water, for example, and people have no money to buy? What happened? Industry shut down. So what government is trying to do is to oil the wheel of the economy, put money in the hands of some people. Whether those people are, it don't necessarily have to be you. So that's where I have a problem. And of course, what we are saying is that what is the volume of money available to the government vis-a-vis the number of people who should need it? So if I have, for example, 30 trillion to share for maybe 100 million people, how much do you think each person will get?
It is not necessarily about how much money the government has. We understand that revenue is short at this time. But even at that, with the removal of subsidy, government is still able to have some revenue. What is being done with that revenue is part of the issue.
Exactly.
Because if we do not address it,
that's my
even if we
that's
have
my
our
argument. Doctor, hold on. You have made your point.
Even if we have our abundance as much as the US, it did not lead us result as the US.
Let me respond to what you said earlier, Doctor. It's understandable to have or to want to pay attention to recurrent expenditure, which you mentioned. That's okay. I mean, people need to be paid when they're working and all of that. That's fine. I mean, as opposed to going after white elephant projects or vanity projects or infrastructure, as it were, that may or may not directly impact the populace. But as she has asked, and which we're still talking about, which I'm hoping we can get some answers to at this point in time, is in what way, shape, or form has it affected the ordinary Nigerian? What the government has done with the budget of 2024, because it was pegged at 28.7 or 9 trillion naira. Yes. Then it was reviewed upward to 35 trillion. Then of course you have 3.1 and 2.2 projects, what's it called, Renewed Hope, special budget for Renewed Hope and all of that. Oh, yeah. Now at the end of the day, what we had is multiple budget, if you like, by Mr. President or by the current administration, as at last year. Now we had what's it called, the NPC, we had the FIRS, the Customs, and one other agency I forget. Yeah. Overshooting their target. Where did those monies go?
Yeah, but this is a question. Now they have overshot their target. Road Safety said, oh, we can raise 25 billion. Now they have made 45 billion. Now, don't forget that in the projection of that year's budget, government had also made plans to make borrowings to be able to fund part of that budget. Now, the question that any good analyst will ask is, did we borrow everything we intend to borrow? Now, if we did not borrow, how did we survive? Now, those questions Nigerians are not asking. And this is where, because if you want to judge people to say, oh, a government is performing because everybody is now out of poverty, it will be very difficult. What will you measure? You measure some size of the things that were achieved. As we speak, we're having a nation that is rebounding. We're having an economy that is doing well more than it was projected. So government is not going to measure its impact about how many people who are actually on the sides that you say, okay, oh, how do we feel the impact? I was telling somebody 2 days ago, I said, when we assess Nigeria economy, what people tend to forget is that the true measure of economy is not really using the GDP, is to see what has happened to the common man on the street. The few things, which is exactly what which is a question, which of course, I say, if I use my environment, the little place where I live, I will see people are building more houses, buying more land at more expensive costs, able to send their children to public private schools that are quite expensive and exorbitant. Now, what this means to me as a person is that we are better off today than yesterday.
But if you go out of the
Nigerians have been building luxury houses since time immemorial. Nigerians have been owning luxury properties since time immemorial. If you're going to say, if you're going to measure the rebounding of the economy by that, I will fault you, sir, because
2025 because of Lagos, where you are in this environment, just to show you a picture of the town where it was in 2010. And 2025.
But does that translate to
what it means is that we're having more billionaires as we speak. We're having more millionaires as we speak.
Now, you forget that is at the expense of the more population who have been pushed further down into poverty. Over 100 million people.
Who's pushing into poverty?
Over 100. Doctors, the figures don't lie, sir. The figures do not lie.
Who is pushing into poverty?
30 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. What are we saying?
Let's look at who's pushing. Let's look at who's pushing who into poverty.
You see, what people call multidimensional poverty. You see, I have said this.
Let's even answer that question that you asked.
I wish I will one day have the opportunity.
1 minute, doctor.
Wait, Blessing. I wish one day I will have the opportunity to sit down with the Director General of Nigerian Bureaus and those agencies so that we can look at the figures that they are throwing at the faces of people. Because those figures that are thrown are not reliable. And I can tell you, they are not reliable. You see,
so do we, by this same token, do we use the same token to judge the government when they say that they've made XYZ percentage leap in progress? Can we use the same argument to judge?
To do to get figure, you just call your local government if you have people at home, and on that list, I know by name who are on the list. And you see, what you should understand in Nigeria, and that is the point I was raising from the issues that Osita raised, which is the role of the elite in destroying our nation because of the greed for power. You know, in the elitist theory, we study in elementary political science, we see a few group of people who become to create a level of influence for themselves so that they can take power for themselves at the expense of other people. That is why I'm saying that these people you see writing public letters, all that they are simply doing is playing on the sentiment of the people to blackmail those who are currently in power in order for them to take power.
But you also forget.
And Professor Clark made this very clear. And he says, since independence, people have not really put the issue of development on the front burner. They have not put it on the front burner. So what's always on the front burner is politics. And I'm happy that SOUQ News is doing the front burner so that we can put the real issue on the front burner. Now, what are these real issues?
Right.
Let me mention them. Okay. What are these real issues? The real issue is the fact that the elite have overpromised the citizens. Things that, of course, they know that is not possible to be delivered. We're talking about an economy that everybody agreed to, that subsidy was not sustainable in all its form. But today, what are we seeing? People are talking about, oh, we shouldn't have removed subsidy. It's affecting people. People are suffering. But yes, people are going to suffer for a little while. But what that means is that it also creates enough economy. It's helping people to also think about it. The Nigerian downstream and the upstream sector had not received any massive investment. If you know people who invested even in common, the petrol station, many divested. So when you walk across the length and breadth of Nigeria, you will see many filling stations that were abandoned. Fort Oil sold all our filling stations because they were not making profits, because of the opaque way that industry was being run. Now, what's happening right now? You are seeing a change happening. A lot of people are coming back into that sector. People are investing in both the down and the upstream. So that for us is a sign of recovery. And so we must speak to things the way they are.
Notwithstanding, it doesn't mean that when somebody says, for this that you plan to do, this is the level of success you achieved, that is political. Whatever the motive is, I am not in the mind of the person. But looking at what is stated, I don't think that is political. Because it's about development. There are things that could lead to development or were intended for development that were captured in the budget. So if we're asking, or if somebody is asking questions on how that plan fared, there is nothing political about that. But I think, again, when you talk about the elite, how the elite is playing on the sentiment of the people, I also think that the government is going with that sentiment because they see people build houses, they see new billionaires emerge. They think that it is well with every Nigerian. They think that it is well with the downtrodden, it is well with the masses. But the truth of the matter is, even if you say there are people who were receiving conditional cash transfers, but where does that leave us today? Do we need the government to continue giving those 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 15,000 naira, as the case may be, to keep the economy running? Or are we saying that there should have been a more constructive way to have a social investment program that would give the economy some lift, that would even help businesses run more? We have also been an advocate of teaching a man to fish rather than giving him fish.
I will come in here at this point in time, to piggyback off of what she said and to refer again back to what you have been saying, which is a particular individual, not necessarily that figure.
It's not just him.
Exactly. Not
that's why
it just was
him.
That's why I
because
said
it's
not necessarily
common
him.
Within the politics. That's the point I'm making.
But I feel it's a bit disparaging to, tell Nigerians as a whole, as a population, that we need a few people to say certain things that would appeal to our sentiments, as he were. I don't think so. Nigerians are enlightened. Nigerians are, they have their wits about them. They don't need anybody to speak for them. There is already, as we know, a huge trust deficit between the leadership and the led. As you have, spoken earlier, talking about promises made and not fulfilled, the ratio of words to action is what Nigerians look at. What did you tell us? What are you doing? So they are aware enough. They are very well aware to know when they're being shortchanged. But that's by the way. Still speaking about opacity, Doctor. Speaking about opacity, Dr. Blessing. Was it yesterday or last week? I forget now. The minister, the coordinating minister for the economy and minister of finance, Wale Edun, was called by the House Appropriations Committee to defend the budget of last year. Do you know what he said? Do you know what he asked for? I'll tell you. He asked for a closed session. A closed door session. What does that tell you?
There
to the average mind, is there something that you're hiding that you don't want us to know? All the journalists were chased out of the room. What is really going on? That's what Nigerians are asking. So Nigerians are well aware of what's going on. And all they want are answers. Now, regardless of who it is, whether it's opposition or member of the party or whoever it is that comes out to say, oh, this government is getting something wrong, I believe he or she is entitled to their opinion. And then the wider majority of Nigerians know what is really going on, and they simply want answers.
David, it will be quite incredible for us to sit down here and assess a man on a journey that he said he wants to take with his plan, and then we want to give him our plan and expect him to achieve same goal. It's not possible. So if you tell me and say, I'm going to lead you this way, and this is the steps I want to take you this way, and you come to tell me, oh, you can't take that step, but you're telling me that I should take your plan and then go to the same direction, then of course you are unfair. Sorry. And that is inequity. So what is happening is the fact that the president has promised that he wants to redouble Nigerians' economy. And just last week here, IMF actually came, even without MBS rebasing our economy, to say that our economy is actually more than the $510 billion that was actually being touted, that the Nigerian economy is actually bigger than 1.3 trillion. So what that tells you? So see, there is a whole lot of misinformation that is going on in society. There's nowhere people want to discuss budget and they take it to the market square. There's no country in the world where that happens. You see, I
don't think that the National Assembly is a market square.
No.
And if you ask questions,
what happened? The national assemblies are there. The members that are representing, they are intelligent enough. And if you feel they are not intelligent enough, what you do is that a call or vote them out the next season. But at the moment they represent you.
Do we need to wait for that long? When interrogations can happen now?
No. You see, the thing is this. Bookmakers are out there. People still there. All that they want to do is sensationalize things and write them out of context. What you do is that don't understand this thing. That's what I'm saying to you. Professor Kladake made this very clear years back before his death. How politics underdeveloped Africa, and indeed by extension Nigeria. Now, because what people are doing is that people take figures and go to the market square and put figure down for people only to just create sentiment for things that really are not true. What I'm saying about budget is simple. Budget is simply an estimate. It means that government has earned more. I would have expected in that same document to have said, okay, government, you promised to do this for us in 2024, and this was what you projected. This was what you earned. Why is it that you have earned the amount you expected and the things you expected to do was not done? That would have been fair. But when you don't put the figures out to see, government, this is how much you earn. In terms of your obligation that you have to partners within and outside, did you meet them? Yes. Now, we'll not be able to say, okay, government didn't do well. For you now to come with one-sided figure, to write an open letter, to say, oh, I'm writing a letter to you because it was not good that we did only 24%. When we knew that in this same country, unplanned for, labor was asking for increment in wage. And in between, government had to be forced to increase the wage of workers. Now, how are you going to explain all this? Because they were not factored into the 2024 conversation and the presentation of the budget. Now, these are things that government has to deal with. They are the exigencies of time. No, when things are happening in an environment, government need to respond. There are some things that government don't budget for. And all of a sudden they come up. But you have to address them. Now, out of all these issues, government is doing. But it's not to exonerate that there are no profligacy within the system. It's not to say that there are no waste within the system. But we all know all this. But you see, it's a continuum.
Can we look at this? So we can't beat a child and ask the child not to cry. So we can't.
But nobody is beating a child here.
Yes, I said that to say this.
This is a free economy. Nobody is a government child. Is anybody a government child?
Are you sure? Are you sure nobody is a government child? All right, let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. So we have the National Assembly, we have the legislature. Yes. Sometimes we say, oh, they're just there. What are they doing? They're having their sessions and talking. Their effect is not being felt. And they have different committees that look into different issues.
Yes.
So if they ask the economic team to say, tell us how much was earned as a result of savings from the removal of subsidy and how much you spent. I don't think that's too much a question for that team to answer. Now, if we're endorsing or condoling their refusal to answer publicly, I don't know what's in there that they need to have a closed door session to answer. Are there things they need to harmonize behind closed doors before they come out? I think it should be quite clear because these are part of the problem.
You see, Blessing,
concealed,
we cannot sit here to misinform the public. You know why?
But did they not know?
That is not misinformation.
It is. It is.
It is.
Mr. Wale, ask for a closed door session.
No. This is the point I'm making.
They need to wait to be asked
this is the point I'm
question.
making. Okay, you see, you have to be very careful how you respond to some of the issues that you see on the space.
I don't think that some caution needs to be applied.
No.
If you know how much to refuse,
you have to. Let me give you two instances. I want to give you two instances. The first instance was a member of Senate who stood up and said, "Oh, they allocated money to them that he got 500 million." For the Nigerians who were looking and watching, they thought that this was given in cash. But the truth of the matter was that what the man was trying to express, which you could not convey very well, was the fact that the size of the constituency project that is attached to him, which of course Obasanjo endorsed in 2003, because the members of the National Assembly had asked that, look, we are also part of government. We go back to our people every 4 years. And they keep asking us, what have you done for us? And they said, okay, you don't put us in your budget plan. And then, of course, the government of Obasanjo agreed that what they should be doing is that they should have a specific project for their constituency to be built into the budget of every year. And since 2003, that procedure had been ongoing. So what happened is that every lawmaker, whether in the National Assembly, in the House of Rep, or in Senate, proposes a budget. But there is a ceiling. So what the senator was trying to say that his own ceiling for constituency project for that year was 500 million. Now, how was it read in the news? It was read that each senator got 500 million. That's the misinformation.
Yes, I understand that sometimes things can be taken out of context.
The misinformation as if that he received cash.
No, the misinformation you spoke about, I reckon you were referring to Mr. Wale Edun's case. Isn't that what you're talking about?
No. I'm just giving her an instance why it is important for us to address some certain issue. Now,
but there was no misinformation.
When government says we were going to make some gains from subsidy removal,
right?
You have to look at it at two theoretical levels.
Okay.
The first theoretical level is the money you are not spending, and the one you are not borrowing is your savings. So what that means is that if, as a country, we have been spending or borrowing 30 million, for example, to fund this subsidy, so which means this year we are not going to borrow that money. It does not mean it is saved. It just simply means we are not expending it and we are not increasing our debt.
That's clear
so
enough.
That's one level.
That's clear enough.
That's one level. Then the second theoretical level is the fact that you're also seeing that because this is happening, There are a lot of transactions that are going on in this public space, which also is increasing your revenue. Which, of course, we have seen in the Consolidated Revenue Fund that consistently, every month, all the states sit around table in Abuja to share about 1.2, 1.3, 1.1 trillion every month. And now Mr. President said something recently in his presidential chat, and he said to them that only 34% actually come to Abuja. That the other goes to the states and the local government, and 13% is used for derivation. So it doesn't come to the federal. Now, the question we should be asking, which is the same thing I asked yesterday, is to see, states who are receiving more money, are you building more roads?
Okay, states are receiving more money, but the federal is also receiving some money. And the economic team, if you who is not part of the, you are not part of the economic team, you could explain to this extent what it means when they say money is being saved from subsidy removal. I expect much more from the economic team because they understand the workings, they know what goes on. Absolutely. So it's a direct question. They need not wait for the committee to ask them, how much have you saved or how much is accrued to the Federation from the removal of subsidy? It's a question they understand clearly. I want to believe that. And it's a question they have answers to. They need not even wait for the National Assembly to ask them. Before you were invited, you must have had some pre-information as to why you were invited. Now you are asked a question. If you say that what happens is not as if money comes in by such, or not to use your words exactly, is to say, since we're not paying subsidy, we would have expended X amount. But now we're not paying subsidy. So for this month, this amount of money we are not expending. Now we have also gained this. This is it. So they would have done the plus and minus. There is record of everything. You know what this is. So this is what came to the Federation account as a result of this. And then they explain to ask for a special session. I'm using my words now. A special session or a closed-door session suggests. It may not be, but they have to understand that what you suggest to the public. So you make people speculate that perhaps there are information you do not want to disclose publicly. You are further increasing the trust deficit. So whatever you come out to say, you don't expect people to embrace it because they think you must have had time to concoct something.
Blessing, what you're finding here is, I agree with you, there's poor communication in government. I have written a proposal to a lot of governors, really, to train their personnel on how to communicate publicly. That there are people who communicate very poorly, there's no doubt about that. And I think I still need to push that agenda, that a lot of people need to know how to say things to the public so that we don't incite people and we also don't create trouble where one does not exist. Because in change management, you find that communication is critical. People must be able to communicate at the level at which change is happening. If there's a sense of urgency, you should be able to convey it. Now, if there's a vision, you must be able to convey it so that people have clarity about what is going on. And that people are not speaking well for government is a big issue. Absolutely. And two, also, you find that in government also, people are also afraid not to go say something today, and then the government come back tomorrow
they're retracting.
And retracting it. So you have to also be very careful because you have to sync what you're going to say with what your principal is saying. And now on the spot, there are a few things that you can mention. There are people who are actually working hard to see how you fail the next election, drag you into an environment where you don't want. And I don't think it's simply because people want to hide things, that's why they don't want to speak to the public. So that's just an aspect of it. But the point I'm making is that we must be enlightened enough as citizens that when people are making proposals, they are only assuming that some certain condition remain constant. And if those conditions are not constant, then of course you cannot judge them based on the promise. You have to judge them based on the circumstances or the presuppositions that were put in the place, which of course at the end of the day really did not materialize. That's the point I am making.
Right,
so
as we wrap up, listen, just a minute or a little under that, as we wrap up, essentially the argument of most Nigerians has always, and I reckon still is and would always be, let's see essentially tangible mechanisms or tangible efforts. Just to cast your mind back a little bit, I know we're running short of time, back to the President Goodluck Jonathan era. We had Sherpy when he attempted to, remove subsidy. Subsidy came on board, Sherpy came on board, and it gave Nigerians some, lease of life, so to speak. If you cast your mind farther back, you go back to late General Sani Abacha's time with the PTF, that's Petroleum Trust Fund. I mean, when Shonekon did his increment of 5 naira, I think, if memory serves me right, he reduced it. That's when Abacha came in, he reduced it to 3 naira, took it back to, I think, 7 naira in this case, but there was, the PTF. So what we're asking right now is, what is this current administration doing? What do we see as something we can hold on to? That's where I'm going to leave my answer.
So I think that basically, I'm going to wrap up here.
What Nigeria has always asked for, which is that they need a conference where we have to debate the nature of our federalism.
Okay.
Is those issues are gradually being addressed by this regime, which is giving more authority and power to the states, giving more power to the local government, so that the structures, the tiers of government, as it were,
can function effectively.
Right. And to that, we must say kudos to the president, that he has empowered states, he has empowered the local government to deliver on their mandate. Now, what is left is that we, who should be the conscience of the people, must tell our people to begin to hold their local council accountable, hold their governors accountable, because they are having more money in their hand now. We must ask them what they are doing with the money. And if the governors are spending their money well and the local government are spending their money well, then these things that we want to see will become more clearer to the people at the grassroots.
And to make it more clearer, the government at all levels must give the people the information that they need to know what's going on so they can be held accountable the right way. All right, we'll let that go and continue another time as more developments around that emerge. Yes, the 2025 budget is being planned and there are concerns as to what it should be, what interest it should represent. We'll look at that another time. But now let's move away from the shores of Nigeria to US and Canada. So President-elect Donald Trump has been making some jokes, which I don't think the Canadians find really funny. So he's made several jokes about annexing Canada. So in one of those jokes, the Prime Minister of the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reacted to that and said there is not a chance that that would happen. Now, one would have thought, oh, maybe it's just a joke if he had said that once. I mean, Donald Trump had said that once, that perhaps Canada could be the 51st state of the United States. You know that the United States has 50 states. So if you're saying Canada becoming the 51st state, then it means that Canada becomes a part of US, and so the Prime Minister reacted, there's not a chance that will happen. So like I was saying, if he had said that once, say, oh, Donald Trump, in his usual way, he has a weird sense of humor. He was just joking, but he's made a repeated joke of that. So when someone says something awful, you know how they say that is when people are joking, sometimes they say the truth. What is Donald Trump aiming at? Is there some undertone to that joke? Is it a possibility that Canada could be annexed by the US? I'm going to read out a comment by the Foreign Affairs Minister of Canada, Melanie Joly, who chimed in that Trump's comments show a complete lack of understanding of what makes Canada a strong country. She goes further to say, our economy is strong, quoting her now. Our people are strong, we will never back down in the face of threats, she wrote on social media. So they consider that a threat already because, hey, Donald Trump has said that more than once. What's going on with him?
I think people should just understand Donald Trump. I mentioned this in passing yesterday. When you look at Donald Trump, you see he's reinvented the moral doctrine, which is the American for the American people. And what that means is that you have to put emphasis on how to grow your people. He's only just being sarcastic in the way he's making these actions. The fact that Canada is over relying on America to survive. So rather than just depend on us like this, and you are making us because of the advantage of that long border we have together.
Just
and you walk into our country and walk out and send things into our country, and then you make life even miserable for us. So why not just become the 51 states of America? And I think that is what it is. And if you follow the politics of Canada recently, you find that a whole lot of things are not working. Take, for example, Trudeau has legalized Indian hemp.
Okay, before we continue that, we have an excerpt from Justin Trudeau's reaction to Trump's, I would like to call it taunt, or Trump's jokes. Let's watch that and we continue the conversation afterwards.
When it comes to Canada being looked at as the 51st state, let me just state it again, that's never going to happen. Canadians define themselves a whole bunch of different ways, but one of the ways that we all use as shorthand is we're Canadian because we're not American, and that is not going to change. In regards to tariffs and the business community, I had some very good and productive meetings with a number of business leaders here in Washington, D.C. Jay Timmons of the National Association of Manufacturers, Joshua Bolton of the Business Roundtable here in the United States, to emphasize that we have become incredibly successful as countries, as economies, as a continent, because we do things so well together.
That's the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, there saying Canada is successful without the U.S. and will not become the 51st state of the U.S. All right, you were on the line of thought.
What I was saying is that when you look at what is happening there, you see Trump is anti-drug, for example. Canada has legalized the planting of Indian hemp for whatever it is, medicinal, and I think the first country in the world to have done that. And of course, you know what that means, there being flows, because between Ontario and New York is just a bridge that is not up to 2 meters. So people walking, they use leg to move from New York into Ontario. So this is the state of Canada. You are here at Canada watching the fall this side, and then people are in New York watching the same fall. Just a goal is separating the two countries. Now, so what that means is that a lot of influence of some of these things is coming, and that is what Trump is actually working against in Mexico also, so that you don't have too much of influence of drug. You have a lot of people who are on drug and citizens are not safe. So you're talking about the safety of America. We must take that into perspective. Secondly, you also find that even recently, and I think about 2 years ago, they had to go on a referendum. Quebec was threatening to get off Canada, although the vote didn't set through, 41 to 58 or so, or 59. So you find that it was just a slim chance. And today, as we speak, even the party has elected a new leader. So by March, Trudeau is gone. So it shows you a sign of things not working. So what Trump is simply saying is that there's a need for the Canadian government to focus on their internal and domestic affairs and not overburden their neighbor.
Now, I hear your submission, Doctor. I'm also going to, add a few things to it. But before that, I would like to talk about the history, essentially, just for a second or two. All of these started in the 1800s, essentially, where you had, America's crave, if you like, for, taking ownership of certain territories that surrounded them, as it were. Now, circling back to where we are at this point in time, Trump, personally, I don't know about anybody else, but on a personal note, I would take Trump seriously, but I would not take him literally.
because we know that he's big on the taunts. And the taunt started with Trudeau against him, so it feels like now he's more or less doing the same thing. But yes, Doctor, in your submission, I totally agree when you talk about Trump essentially wanting to look after his home. He's a nationalist, true and true. Let's not argue that. He's also a populist at the same time. And then besides marijuana, there's also fentanyl that's gone through the borders into America, both from Canada and Mexico. So essentially, Trump is looking out for himself and America. You remember his mantra, MAGA, Make America Great Again. So it's protectionism. It's everything that he can possibly do to make sure that the borders of the United States of America is concerned. But as far as bringing in Canada is concerned, or annexing Canada, I don't think that's going to work, because first of all, the Canadians don't want it to happen. In fact, there's a poll that I saw, I think it was carried out by CNN, if I'm not getting my wires crossed, either CNN or what's their name, Al Jazeera. No, it was CNN. About 18%, if I'm not mistaken, of Canadians actually say that they wanted that to happen, while the others said that it's not going to happen. So if you measure the yays versus the nays, you see that the yays have it, and so it's not going to happen. That's by the way. You also want to talk about them living symbiotically. That's America, Canada, their relationship and all of that. They need Canada, in a manner of speaking, for energy purposes. They need Canada, in a manner of speaking, for agricultural purposes. They need Canada for a few good things. Yes, you cannot take it away from, you cannot discountenance the fact that, for a long time, Canada has largely depended on America for a lot of resources. But then things like these, at play is why Trump came and says, okay, you know what, I'm going to slam a tariff on you. I think it was 25%, if I'm not mistaken. But then again, if this goes on, which I know is not going to happen, there's going to be a 60% tax cut for Canadians if they become the 51st state of America. But all in all, I think this is just vintage Trump being populist, vintage Trump being Trump, and essentially trying to stick to his nationalist agenda of looking after America, for Americans, and making it great again.
I don't support, I don't have any soft spot for globalism. I actually believe that people become nationalistic. Okay. Build your states and let people actually have a sense of government doing well for their nations.
All right, I think that for me, for Trump,
I give to Trump.
Trump, in a funny way, I want to see him as a troublemaker, not like he troubles people or troubles countries. When you have a child who's like the troublemaker in the group, they would always taunt others, as a way of making fun. But himself and Trudeau has a history, because it seemed like Trudeau was the person who fired the first shot during Trump's first tenure as president. So it's like, now Trudeau, you're not having it very good as the prime minister, because Trudeau has said that he was going to resign if another leader of the party emerges and all of that. So it's like, it's taunting Trudeau and trying to make fun of Canada because of how much support that they've received from the US. And like you said, it's like, if we've done this for you, if we've borne your burdens to this extent, why not just make you one of our states, so that it justifies why we're spending so much, why it's costing us so much for you. But he's already increased tariffs and all, but he's also saying, well, the gains are this: if you become one of us, you will pay lower taxes, the tariffs will be dropped and all that. He knows that he doesn't have a chance at success of annexing.
But it's even important that Canada. He has been asked whether he wants to use military or economic, and he said no.
He knows that. So he can't do that.
Trump is not.
But I don't think that Trump is totally just joking. If there were good chances that the US could annex Canada, of course he would go right for it.
No.
But he knows
not
that...
the Trump government. He will not. Trump will not annex a state.
He knows, not forcefully.
No, he will not.
If they come to some agreement, but I think for now, it's just taunting them, but Canada doesn't
will not tolerate is subsidizing any state, not even Canada. He wants better life for America. Now, when you go to the Ford factory, for example, in Ontario, it's massive. All those cars are produced for the American market. Canada has just a little over 40 million people. So when you have a lot of massive companies that are sited there, all that is being produced is for America. A lot of Indians and Chinese are entering into Canada because they have enough land for farming. All that is produced is getting into the American market. So what he's saying is that yes, we are neighbors, but I can't overburden my people with tax. I will only suffocate you with tariff. And if you don't want to be a victim, then come under my roof, and then you will have some gain.
There's another idea.
Which is like taunting them and making fun of them. But I don't think it's well received by Canada because they've also made some reactions like, hey, you can joke with anything, but don't joke with the nationality.
You can't come and play Big Brother in our backyard and then take our stuff without us, fighting back. But I think there's another angle to it. I'll just take a couple of seconds. As far as annexing Canada is concerned, and that's America annexing Canada, of course we agree on one thought that it might not happen, largely speaking. But what if these two countries, based on their shared relationships, over the decades, over the centuries as it were, what if they double down on it? What I mean is they could have much more than just sharing resources in terms of energy or defense, that's security that is, and or agriculture or whatever it is, to perhaps maybe share a common currency. Because you know that Canada, they use the dollar, but the Canadian dollar. Then of course there's the US dollar. What if they share a currency?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm talking about an angle.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the annexation of Canada.
Yes, for
just
that
looking
currency,
at an angle.
I don't think
both
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Both countries maintain their sovereignty, as it were, but they could share more in common beyond what is already, what already exists or what is extant at this point in time. So I'm thinking perhaps currency, perhaps defense architecture or security architecture. They share. Now listen, a Canadian-American joint defense architecture would be a formidable force in the world. Already America has one of the strongest, if not the strongest, that's why I put it that way. But a combination of them, or a merging, if you like, of them and Canada, again, I repeat, as two sovereign states, but go beyond just neighbors and sharing, some relationship. It's like I don't know if this is the right example to use, but I'm hoping it fits in. You have two fetuses inside
one womb.
Exactly, one womb. They're two individual entities, but they share a lot of things in common. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but that's a possibility.
They could share other things that don't agree.
One of the things that you will have to understand in this politics, you can't undermine the influence of France in all of this. Because Canada are both English and French speaking. So that duality is a problem. Now, when you come to West Africa, for example, you see, anytime Nigeria takes a lead on a particular thing, the French neighbor go exactly the opposite direction to frustrate whatever policy. So that's why you find that ECOWAS, for example, had not been able to actually stand its ground. Because Nigeria is working toward a goal, the French influence is antithetical. And that's also showing forth, of course, in Canada, because you have the greater majority of people who speak French than those who speak English. So that French-English, struggle is also inherent in Canada. And that will not make that real bond between Canada and America really function too well. They are able to manage their democracy through what they call the constitutional arrangement, where, of course, they have agreed by their constitution that some certain people bear some authority and power in certain area based on their contribution to their general economy. That may not work for US.
Okay, what I was saying is that for security arrangement, that could work, because I think the US will be open to whatever would help for security, particularly regarding now that at this point that Trump is very much concerned about border control. But for currency, the US prides itself with the US dollar. And that has given them a lot of control and leverage around the world. Sharing that with another country, I do not think that the US would even want to contemplate that. So they may consider other options, like you said, security and some other things. But for currency, it's just like what the UK has with the pound sterling. So you know what currency does for a country? When your currency is put at a certain point and is like the universal currency for transaction, that gives you a lot of power and influence that I do not see any administration, whether Trump or subsequent administration, wanting to share with another country.
My friend, who is a professor of accounting in Vancouver, said once to me, and this was a public forum, said, look, I don't mean denigrating the Canadians. Canadians, just so to speak, they believe everything, even the most stupid thing on earth. And you see, and it feels that is just their nature, that they believe anybody. And that's why fraud happens more in Canada than anywhere in the world. That nature is intended for good, but most of the time is taken for granted. He gave me an example that he just published on his page, and he said he wanted to drive a car through the entire length of Canada, which would take like 24 hours. And say anybody who has a car that he wants to drop in the other country, that he's ready to drive the car for free because it's on an expedition. And about 6 people actually volunteered. And he said it's only in Canada that somebody is driving into an eatery and enter into the eatery and see 6 people by his side and said, for what the 6 people behind me will eat and pay up front, and they move. Good nature anyway, but it feels that it's some level of stupidity, and a lot of people are taking undue advantage of it. I was told by statistics, over 1,000 cars are stolen in Canada every day.
All right, so I'm just going to point us to some reactions regarding that. And let's also look at why Canada isn't receiving it entirely as a joke. One of them said, responded to Trump's jokes and made a comment. But first of all, there was a US Senator, Lindsey Graham, who joined in the joke, taunting Canada. He said, following the, it says, my only thoughts today as the state electoral votes were listed off, they skipped Canada. And he posted an ad saying, we'll fix that next time. So it's like, they're enjoying the joke. They're enjoying the joke. And it's like, wow, why not? So a TV host from Canada was also responding to that, and he pitched his idea about the economies coming together, erasing the border between Canada and the United States. So I think that as much as people are, as we say in Nigeria, catching cruise with the with it. On the other side, there are some who are saying, well, perish the idea of annexing, but we could share, a lot and gain so much from us. But I really want to know why they're not receiving it as a joke. Isn't that for Trump's personality, as jokeful as it could be, people know that this man, if he makes his mind about a thing, he can push for it. Or the subject of nationality is something that is at the core of the heart of anybody, that when you try to poke it even a little, it stirs reaction from people, and people just say, hey, don't try that. I imagine that one country, maybe South Africa for instance, says to Nigeria, hey, you could be part of us, or even... No.
It's only Nigeria that can say to South Africa, you can be part of us. They are too smart to have that kind of a dream.
You're reacting already. You're reacting already.
No. Because they can't say so.
I'm just using that as
because
an
we are
example.
flipping the chart.
Not a perfect example.
Canada is a small country compared to America. So South Africa is a small country compared to Nigeria.
When we talk about economic power, we can't say that South Africa is small. So,
in short, we are bigger than South Africa.
By numbers.
We are actually bigger.
By numbers. So even if Nigeria says to Ghana, let's not even South Africa, because whether we have a kind of history that, hey, they could just even take me.
You see,
Nigeria says to Ghana,
Blessing,
like, we're close enough.
One of the biggest challenge we have as a country, in terms of even assessing ourselves, because sometimes we undermine ourselves. There are a whole lot of informal sector that is driving the Nigerian economy that are making money on a daily basis that are never included in the GDP measurement.
And it's not
because they have a more organized society where all their businesses and earnings are captured, and we don't have, does not make them bigger than us.
We're not saying they're bigger. It was an example. But that is not also to say...
No, so you would have used the right example. That if Nigerians wake up one day and say they want to
I think
annex
you're reacting to that as a Nigerian. A South African will react to that differently. That is not to say that when you talk about Africa, South Africa is not an economic
look at it. During their struggles, we house all of them here.
Yes.
All these, we housed them here in Nigeria.
That was then.
We fought them. We fought the freedom of South Africa with our own hard-earned money.
Let's not get into that before.
We need to get into it because you have to reorder that thing. So don't say that South Africa. South Africa is too small to be thinking about that. It's over ambition. So you should use the right word and say Nigeria. You should say, for example, Nigeria want to harness South Africa.
You see what happens? I think I already got the answer to the question why Canada is not seeing this as a joke at all, coming from Donald Trump. It's because when it comes to nationality, nobody wants to think, or no country wants to think or see themselves less than another, regardless of the benefits that Canada has gotten from America. America also gotten some benefits, and how a bigger nation the US is to Canada.
Just as Nigeria is a big brother to South Africa.
Agree.
I want you to acknowledge that.
Agree.
There's also the softer side.
Before I am exiled from Nigeria to South Africa.
There's a softer side to the story, essentially.
No country wants to take that joke like, we're going to be part of you. What do you mean?
No matter how small you are, I agree. You're still going to big up your chest and say, listen, this is my house, and you cannot come in here and dictate what I should or should not do in my house, because I'm the landlord, I'm king. In every man's palace, he is king. But the softer side of the story,
but you see, in the principle of suzerainty, you find that smaller nations actually will appeal to bigger nations and say, please come govern us. We see that in modern history, where, of course, Greece, after the meltdown of 2008, surrendered their entire economy to the Germans to manage. So it is possible for Canada to wake up and say, yes, America, you are a big brother. We don't mind if you give us all the protection we need, and then, of course, we will do obeisance to you. It is possible, and that is
while still maintaining the sovereignty.
Yeah, maintaining their sovereignty.
Isn't that what I was saying earlier? That was the angle. But anyway, on the softer side, Doctor spoke about the good nature of Canadians. I hear too many of my friends who are there whisper that into my ears, how good natured these people are, how easygoing they are, and all of that. But then there's a downside to that particular nature, if you like, and he pointed that out as well, which is being taken advantage of. The average hillbilly in Canada, you can tell them to, you can tell, I don't mean this literally, but I'm just using it as, just to make conversation. You can tell the average hillbilly that lives at the outback in Canada to, surrender their property because it doesn't do them any good, or it wouldn't do them any good where they are as it were, but because it wouldn't do them any good as at that moment in time, and they would happily surrender
they
it
don't
to
have
you.
a problem with that. The best people on earth, really.
But then I can understand again, to impart, why Trump, is looking to do what he wants to do. Remember, there is a huge Russian presence, on the shores of Canada. There's also a huge Chinese presence on the shores of Canada.
They're big on immigration too, which they have issues too.
Which the USA aren't particularly friends with, or aren't particularly chummy with. So that essentially forms just a part of the entire gamut of what informs the move by the POTUS, in America.
Yes, and Canada has been big on immigration for some years.
So Donald Trump is a realist. And if you ever had read the work of Hans Mogentu, Powers Among the Nation, you find that as a realist, he believes strongly in the balance of power, what some people call the balance of terror. So America needs to work very hard, as it is today, to be able to reinvent itself and become as powerful as possible to actually really retain again the international status as a policeman of the entire world. But a smaller American economy will not be able to do that. And I think that is what Trump is all about, to see how to look inward, build an America that is great, America that is strong enough to also dominate. But how that works out as the economy and the size of BRICS is burgeoning on a daily basis, is another kettle of fish.
And that's subject to discuss on another day. But for today, we are done burning up issues, dissecting them, brainstorming them, preferring strategy solutions in them on the front burner, which concludes this segment. You've been waiting for the time when your thoughts get to be read, when we get to take your perspective in this. And so Evelyn Oyole will be bringing us up to speed on Post and Perspective. Stay.
Anthony Onyemaechi Elumelu was born on the 22nd of March 1963 in Jos, North Central Nigeria, to Susanna Dominic Elumelu, originally from Delta State. Tony earned a degree in economics from Ambrose Ali University, where he laid the foundation for his future career, and then furthered his education at the University of Lagos, where he obtained a master's degree in economics. His academic journey also includes attending the Harvard Business School, where he completed the Honor of President Management program, equipping him with advanced business management skills. Tony currently serves as the chairman of Heirs Holdings, Transcorp, and United Bank for Africa, UBA, demonstrating his significant influence in the banking and investment sector. He founded the Tony Elumelu Foundation, which aims to empower African entrepreneurs through comprehensive training, mentorships, and funding opportunities. In addition to his professional achievements, he's also a family man, married to Dr. Adele Vivian Elumelu, and together they have 7 children. In 2020, his efforts were acknowledged when he was named one of Time's 100 most influential people in the world. Anthony Elumelu's net worth is estimated to be around $700 million, a testament to his successful ventures and strategic investments. Elumelu continues to be a driving force in the business world, advocating for sustainable economic growth and empowering the next generation of African entrepreneurs.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudycenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
When you visit Lagos for the first time and Google fun or recreational places in the city, at the top of that list will be Freedom Park. Located in Lagos Island on Broad Street, Freedom Park over the years has become home to the Nigerian arts and the culture at large. From annual big shows like the Lagos Theatre Festival, celebration at the Lagos Poetry Festival, to local festivals that celebrate literature, music and arts. Freedom Park is one of the most visited recreational sites in Lagos, for both local and tourist people alike. A place to mingle, unwind, or simply just have fun. Freedom Park, however, hasn't always been a place of fun and games. It has a history that dates to 1861, when Lagos was made a British colony. In 1885, Freedom Park was built as a fortified prison from imported bricks. It was referred to as Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison. Some prominent political prisoners were held in the prison, people such as Herbert Macaulay, Michael Imodu, and Obafemi Awolowo. In 1979, Her Majesty's Broad Street Prison was destroyed, reduced to a dumping ground. It was later rebuilt in the 1990s, celebrated in 2010, Nigeria's 50th Independence Day. Freedom Park still holds a bit of its history within its walls. In the museum where there are pictures and artifacts. Some of the old prison facilities have been converted into leisure facilities that people visit and enjoy today.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
All right, it's Tuesday, and this is Post on Perspectives right here on SOUQ News Television. This is Evelyn Ohiola. Justice for Tuesday, I would explain, because a whole lot of people talk about Monday and Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday does not get the talks, and this is where I say justice for the second, third, fourth bonds, like me. But I am a second bond, so I'm going to talk about Tuesday. Tuesday is a very wonderful day. All right, a blessing. And of course, Dr. Idausa the Great and David. Nice to have you people here.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, so let's turn to social media and let's see what people are saying on the different topics of discuss for today. Remember that you can drop your comments on our different social media platforms on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, and TikTok, all across board, SOUQ News TV. And for this particular topic, a NAF to probe Zamfara airstrike after civilian casualty report, rather. I'm going to be taking the great thinker, his own, his post here. It says they should probe the Zamfara airstrike. What the military is claiming is that many people, or many of these bandits, have infiltrated these villages. It is like they are a part of these communities. So if there is a celebration, you'd have bandits and ordinary folks frolicking together. And the next perspective I'm going to be taking on this particular topic of discourse is Kendo. Kendo says, how can this be happening all the time? Really, it's an occurrence that has continued to happen, a reoccurring occurrence, I should put it that way, since the year 2017. We've had nothing less than 10, airstrikes bombing civilians, and a lot of people are calling for a probe into that. Kendo thinks that this should not be happening at all, but we have a reoccurring of this particular incident. SOUQ System says the accidental airstrike is getting too much. The members of crew should be held responsible. And I'm going to move over to Dr. Idausa. What do you think? SOUQ System believes that the members of the crew should be held responsible.
Well, different perspective. Yeah. Accidents are bound to happen, and except that it's proven that there is any sabotage around it, I think we should just do due diligence to see what actually happened. And if it's accidental, I think they can be excused.
Then what about compensations? A lot of people talk about compensations, that the people affected by these airstrikes should be adequately compensated. But we've not really seen much of that happen, in this part of the world.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think this is also, again, where we also need to see how to reinvent the insurance structure. Yeah. In Nigeria, which is underused. We don't believe so much in it. If elsewhere this was happening, insurance would have taken care of it, and then, of course, government would not be overburdened.
All right, thank you so much. On to the next story this morning, and this is on Senate decrying the MDA's low remittances, and they are calling for accountability. I actually saw, a report where the National Assembly, the members there were asking JAMB Registrar Oloyede if mosquitoes took all their money, because about 850 million naira was used for fumigation and 1.1 billion naira for meals. Blessing.
Well, if snakes can swallow about 36 million naira, mosquitoes may just be able to take that much because, they bite and never get fed enough. But that's a really sad thing. Once upon a time, we had a Treasury single account, the TSA, which means that every fund that comes into ministries, departments, of agencies goes straight to the Treasury single account. The question is that still in use? Was there a discontinuation of that? So if that happened, maybe it's time to revisit that. And for every ministry, there are heads. So what happened to asking why low remittance? It's not their money. There's a portion that they should remit back. So, of course, it should get into the coffers of governments.
Thank you so much. On to the next story this morning. And this is, a statement, not a statement, but, an interview with retired General Williams, who said that northern governors lacking willpower to end terrorism. And he also mentioned quite a couple of other things, that the DSS, the NIA, they should be banned. There should be segregation from the mobile police to the ordinary police, and the military should not interfere in duties ordinarily meant for the police. Let's take reactions at this time. Hughes Beers, Philip, I hope I got that name right. This agency have the ability and information needed for these challenges. It should be asking the right questions towards those in authority of ruling the country. We keep dancing around the problem like masquerades. And this one is from Oyechimere Eze, saying that, is it northern governors that control the armed forces or the central government? Another one here says, Uche Bakadi says, never, they are doing a good job. If any tailor disappoints DSS, can go and show him shege. In quotes now. NIA always identifies civilians that want to overthrow government during hunger protests. Besides, who is worthy to spend their budget? Is it humanitarian or blue economy? And lastly, from Mr. Rinze, he says, before we talk about banning them, the first question is, in what capacity are they working? Are they allowed to share the data or work without restriction? They might have comprehensive information or the sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria, but not allowed to share or act on it. And before I move over to David, I'll take this last one from Nigerian Lens, who says vigilante, or the vigilante, but I would like to call it the Nigerian way. Vigilante is even working better than them. Local vigilantes should take over their job. What do you think, David?
Well, it's correct that you don't have in the military government of the day, as it were, the central government that controls the military. I wouldn't particularly.
Franklin asking the Nigeria how guarantee end to frequent national grid collapse. The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabo, said yesterday on Monday that the federal government had not found the antidote to the frequent collapse of the national grid, a development that shut down power supply to the whole country many times in 2024, 12 times actually in the year 2024. Jeremiah says, as you cannot, is replying the minister, as you cannot guarantee when to end tariff. Another one from Bukos says, why in God's name is he still a minister? And Stephen Emmanuel, the last one here on this particular story, says, a wonderful time with you on Posts and Perspectives.
We've enjoyed your company as well.
Absolutely.
All right, that's the show. Make a return tomorrow for Posts and Perspective. But for this time, we move over to sports, where TC Barra is standing by. But that will be right after this break. Do not go anywhere.
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC.
Demonstrating remarkable capabilities. It can analyze vast amounts of medical data to identify patterns and predict outcomes, aiding in more accurate diagnosis. Also, AI-powered robots are assisting in surgeries, improving precision, and reducing recovery times. However, despite its promises, challenges persist. Concerns about data privacy, ethical implications, and the need for robust regulatory frameworks are hindering widespread AI adoption. To fully unlock AI's potential in healthcare, collaborative efforts are essential. Healthcare providers, researchers, policymakers, and technology companies must work together to develop and implement AI solutions responsibly. By addressing ethical concerns, investing in AI research, and creating supportive regulatory environments, we can accelerate the integration of AI into healthcare and improve patient outcomes. Joy Chuma, SOUQ News.
Well, basically could be described as the bottom pot. This is halftime, and of course the story is trending right now in Nigeria is the unveiling of Eric SOUQ Chelle as the new head coach of the Super Eagles. Now that unveiling took place on Monday in the media conference room at the MKO Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. And according to the Nigerian Football Federation, the 47-year-old and his assistants will lead the Super Eagles B team at next month's African Nations Championship in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. And then his focus will shift to the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign. That's going to begin with matches against Rwanda, which is an away fixture, and then a home game against Zimbabwe in March. Now, Eric Chelle's contract has some details which I'll be sharing with you. 2 years, according to the reports making the round, which was signed, worth $55,000, about 1 million rounds, which would also be shared between him and his 3 assistants. Now, some of the reports also say that he's going to be pocketing $50,000 per month, so that's a difference of $5,000, which his assistants will be sharing. We have an option of another year on the contract, which it's if he qualifies the Super Eagles for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and that's a big if. Chelle will come with 3 assistants, and then we'll work with the crew on ground, which includes 2 assistants from Nigeria, to enhance the Super Eagles brand. He'll be with the Super Eagles B, which is preparing for the upcoming Asian African Nations Championship, only in a supervisory role. Away from Nigeria, the January transfer window is open, and because basically everyone here, around here, supports Chelsea. So I'm going to be giving you, a bit of Chelsea story. Aaron Aselmino, Boca Juniors, came in from Boca Juniors to Chelsea. He was recalled from loan. We also have Gabriel Sionina Bansi, who has also recalled on a loan. Alex Matis has moved out from Chelsea. He's headed to Oxford United on loan, and Kai Crumpton is going to Bournemouth for an undisclosed amount. Meanwhile, Juventus are reportedly close to finalizing a significant transfer deal with Portuguese right-back Alberto Costa. Now, he submitted an official €15 million bid to Vitória SC. Now, this bid surpasses Sporting CP's €12 million transfer offer, and it's anticipated that Italian club will complete the transfer within the next 24 to 48 hours. The transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, he shared his development and his view on this via X on Monday, noting that Juventus has reached an agreement on a 5-year contract with Costa. Moving away from that real quick, we still have some transfer stories making the rounds. Boa Vista has turned down Trabzonspor's £2.5 million bid. Let's make that €2.5 million bid for Super Eagles defender Bruno Onyemaechi. And according to the Turkish news outlet, which is Photomark, Trabzonspor's offer does not meet Boa Vista's valuation for the left back, and they will only consider an offer in the region of €3 million. The 25-year-old has been a standout performer. He's been great, he's been prolific, and that's been for Boa Vista this season, and was recently voted the club's player of the month for December. He initially joined Boa Vista on loan from Faranese during the 2022-2023 season, and then moved on to make a permanent switch. Onto boxing, Tyson Fury has announced his retirement. It's not the first time he's doing that anyway. He has announced that he will be leaving the sport effective immediately. And that decision comes just 2 days after boxing promoter Eddie Hearn did disclose that the Wembley Stadium had been earmarked for a highly anticipated match between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I don't know if Joshua is still chilling in Nigeria, but that bout was set to take place this summer. So Fury's retirement from the sport comes as a surprise to most boxing enthusiasts, given the hype this potential bout with Joshua is already generating, and of course the money that they could pocket in the end. Well, sports organizations have pledged $8 million to victims of the LA fire incidents. Well, the region is recovering from devastating fire, and we saw 12 professional sports organizations, including Angel City FC, the Angels, Chargers, Clippers, Dodgers, Docs, Galaxy, Kings, LAFC, Lakers, Rams, and Sparks, pledged a combined donation of more than $8 million to support victims in need, as well as those fighting the fires. Sadly, this thing is happening right now, but then beneficiaries of the team's contribution include the American Red Cross, Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, California Fire Foundation, Eaton Canyon Fire Relief and Recovery, and the list goes on. And our heart goes out to those victims of that fire incident. And of course, the fact that sports organizations are lending a hand tells a lot about the corporate social responsibility of most sports organizations. That's all I've got for you today on Halftime. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Temple. Back to the crew in the studio. I do have Blessing, Ichi standing by, Dr. Those, and of course David. Do have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, TC Temple Bar, for bringing us up to speed on what's happening in the world of sports. But you forgot to add that I will be doing a 1,500 marathon later today. Only in my head will that happen. Well, it's been quite a great show today, and so many comments regarding what we talked about. I'm just going to take a few. Someone responded when we were talking about the budget of 2024 and how much of it was implemented. And so someone said, budget and excuses. When will the excuses stop? Another person actually said, he actually asked for a closed session, or Gayadum, which way come the way, referring now it's talking about when the economic team was summoned by a committee in the National Assembly, and then they asked for a closed session. So many more comments. If you missed the entire show, then you can go over to our YouTube channel and just follow through from start to now. I'm Blessing Aiche. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow when the front burners light up. And from my fellow anchors,
David Chiedu,
Osama Zaida Hosa.
Just say tomorrow.